G'day and welcome to On The Esky, an Aussie sports podcast where we like to wrap up the 2 weeks that were in sports. So a big show planned for today. We were on the gentleman to my right's Bucks party last weekend, but back into it. We're going to sink a few vitamin Bs. Bum, bum, ba, dun, 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 dun. Advertising doesn't work on kids. Dun, 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 dun. Cricket in the 90s. Today's show, speaking of cricket, it's an exciting week for cricket fans, especially cricket fans down under. The summer of cricket officially starts. It is the last week of winter here, but we do have international cricket up in North Queensland. It is Zimbabwe, alas, but they haven't been embarrassing just yet. We'll talk the Aussie summer of cricket. We'll talk the Big Bash draft, which is happening tonight, and a little bit of England, South Africa, and the Asian Cup upcoming. Penultimate round in the NRL. The AFL awards were handed out, all the big ones other than the Brownlow. So 22 under 22 Players Association Awards, and of course the prestigious All-Australian team was named. We'll get stuck into that. In the EPL, United and Liverpool have both steadied their campaigns. 2 weeks ago, they were both looking like an uphill battle, but both steadying their seasons, alas, it being quite early. The NFL is nearly here, 2 weeks away from Rams versus Bengals, not the preseason Rams-Bengals, but the opening Super Bowl rematch Rams-Bengals in a couple Fridays. We've got some stories to cover, plus the NFL Fantasy Files continues. We're looking at tight ends and defenses and kickers this week. Thank you to Sean for your research on that. And then the final round at a obscene UFC 278, another crazy knockout. And we've got a new welterweight champion in Leon Edwards. And the F1 back after a few weeks off in Spa, Belgium.
Off-season news, but yeah.
We do have timestamps, yada, yada. You can click on the sports that you like and subscribe, etc., etc., etc. We like to start the show by shouting a beer. Sean, the man on my left, how are you? Who are you shouting? Who are you shouting this week?
I felt sorry, so I figured I'd shout yourself a beer, Pepsi beer, because...
Cheers. I believe he bought these ones. What is the reasoning there?
The main reasoning, we'll get into it in a minute with the football, but both your teams, the Blues and the Dragons, missing out on finals. I felt bad from my perspective, after 3 weeks ago, talking about the Blues, doing the math, and putting it into the universe that they could potentially miss the finals here after all the, buying grand finals ticket chat at the start.
Blue flaggers, etc., 2-0, yada, yada.
Yeah, and the fact that they missed it out by a single point, couldn't kick a goal in the fourth quarter, very Carlton-like here. And, it was a bit disappointing being with yourself and Michael on the Sunday, watching your hearts break live.
The Ralph Wiggum man.
yes.
You can pinpoint the exact moment.
Yes. So, I feel a little bit bad and responsible, but also too bad for you. And I guess go Pack.
Suck one.
It's a nice backhanded beer, but I will accept and enjoy it.
Free beer's a free beer.
I'll be cheering on no one in the upcoming finals. Hopefully everyone loses, etc., etc. No, speaking of Tyson Stengel, he is my shout of beer. He will be playing in the AFL Finals next week. And the reason why I'm shouting this man a beer, and maybe just one, is that he has sort of turned his career around. A few years ago, he was sacked by the Adelaide Crows, a few indiscretions, a DUI, and found with a teammate, participating in some illegal activities. Got the sack, didn't play last year, a very promising young player, and he's absolutely turned his career around. He's been in scintillating career best form, and he got the nod for his first ever All-Australian this week. He kicked 46 goals, everyone talks about the Twin Towers for Geelong, but don't discredit the work that Tyson Stengel does coming up off the two big boys. And he's had a red hot season, and hopefully can continue down the straight and narrow, and just continue to impress with his play on the field and avoid the misdemeanors off the field. As a young man, young men make poor decisions at times. I've definitely made my fair share. Even as a middle-aged, no, I'm not quite middle-aged. What am I? 30s? Yeah, no one cares age. That's what I am.
But don't be calling ourselves middle-aged just yet.
No. Well, middle-aged probably 50 these days. Fair way off then. 50 would be fun. Only 50 more years till retirement.
It's heading that way.
But anyways, I'll shout him a beer. Maybe he can enjoy after the Cats take on the Pies. We will preview the AFL Finals in the AFL section. Mutz?
Good. Yeah. Shouting, probably not so much for sporting accolades this week, but shouting Shaka beer. So he's down under at the moment on a bit of a whirlwind tour. Sort of, I guess, in a way, also promoting his An Evening with Shaquille O'Neal, a sort of pay-per-view event on KO, Foxtel, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, he's been doing the rounds on all the socials, meeting with Prime Minister.
He's met with an absolute motley crew.
He has.
Motley crew. Albanese.
Yep.
Hasbulla.
Yep.
Inspired Unemployed doing the dancing.
Doing the dancing.
A few Melbourne Storm players. I think I saw maybe a few Richmond players getting around him as well.
I think he did an interview with Matty Johns.
Matty Johns. Well. Here we go. So my thinking was, imagine if we got all these guys in for a Mad Monday. This might be the best Mad Monday of all time. I'm talking a few footy players. I'm talking Shaq. I'm talking Inspired Unemployed. I'm talking Hasbulla, making sure that there's no photos being taken that shouldn't be taken. Phones away, etc., etc. Don't want to go the way of the Glenn Waverley amateur Mad Monday that we're going to make. You can look into that as you will. What happened on their Mad Monday? Yeah. I like it. Shaq. He's doing the rounds. It's he's worked. Yeah. He's got a high work rate, doesn't he?
He does. Working harder than he did. So he's playing basketball.
At free throws, perhaps.
Maybe.
Big Shaq attack.
That's it.
Speaking of Shaq, our mop, it's a legend. It's a New South Wales legend, a bit of a hero.
From one legend to another
of mine, but he was trying to channel his inner Shaquille O'Neal on the footy show today, the Sunday footy show. I am talking about Andrew Johns. They were doing like a kicking at basketball and passing into a baskall hoop, kind of challenged him, Slater. Who else was there?
Fittler and Nathan Cleary, I believe.
That's it, yep, and Nathan Cleary. No one was really putting anything in. Joey thought he'd try and spice up the segment by going for a dunk. He was never, I don't think he even touched a ring. No. And I think he pulled his quad. Hopefully it's not torn, but he went down like a sack of potatoes, poor fella. If he's okay, it does make for pretty interesting viewing. Wishing him all the best and enjoy the mop there, Joey.
Well, following of Ricky Stewart fame, of course, pulling his calf a month ago now.
Yeah, celebrating. Celebrating. He went the old Shaq attack on the rim, and
old man can't jump.
I only missed it by about a foot and one torn calf. Tom Segura, do you know Tom Segura Yeah, check out that one if you haven't seen that. It's probably a year old, 18 months old. Yeah. Also went for the.
He can ball though.
Do you reckon?
He was doing all right up until he absolutely balls up that.
Had this accident. He compound fractured his humerus attempting a dunk, and again same thing, like fell miles short of it. Tom Segura, very funny man. Check him out.
Dislocated his elbow or something as well.
Yeah, it was nasty. He's got a fat scar there, but Dunk. All right, Ben Dunk. That's our transition, soft transition. Anyway, he's a cricketer. Cricket is back down under. It is winter time. We have 5 days left of winter, but we are being treated to some international cricket. The summer of cricket is officially underway. Australia playing Zimbabwe, 3 ODIs up there in Townsville, and a little bit of serendipity, I suppose, in that this was scheduled earlier on in the year, back end of last year. Of course, we had the tragic passing of Andrew Roy Simons nearly 3 months ago. That's gone pretty fast. They between innings there was kind of a nice little tribute to Roy. Obviously a North Queensland man. His family out there taken out like a Nakubra, his old baggy green bat, fishing rod, crab pot out in the middle. Just obviously thinking of them and yet, months down the track, still mourning the loss of a husband, a father, a friend, and an Aussie legend. But I think, it is also a nice sort of little send-off up there in Townsville with some international cricket. A lot of guys that would have loved, watching Roy play, as they were on the come-up. Mm-hmm. And the Aussies should cruise to a win here, just chasing 201, is it?
They'll make 201, I think.
Yeah, so they're 3 for 130. Smith out there, Stoyne has just gone bang. Zimbabwe didn't embarrass themselves by any means.
It's a solid score, but
it could have been a lot more. Yeah. It was a bit collapsy. It was a little bit middle order collapsy, and way too many dot balls. I think they ate 160 rocks, so pretty hard to score. Big. When you're eating that many rocks. They are just coming off a 3-0 loss to India back home, but the last game they were so close to beating India. That would have been massive for them. But yeah, they've held their own. Look, if Zimbabwe go anywhere close to competing with us here, we need to have a good look at ourselves. Yes. Michael Jackson, man in the mirror chat. This is really important though for World Cup qualification. I think we're like 8th on that table. South Africa pulling out of the their scheduled 3 games in January will help us. But a few easy wins here against Zimbabwe, touch wood, will help us climb up that table. It's a weird one in that I think like the West Indies have played like 24 games, like England's played like 18, and we've played 7 or something like that. So need a few, need to be able to play cricket to win cricket matches. But the top 7 get the automatic qualification in that. So hopefully we shoot back up there. Mm-hmm. Big talking point, I suppose, again, a lot of pressure around Aaron Finch. It's like we're always doing Finch watch. He'd made it to just 15 runs. He started off pretty well. He got
digits.
Yeah. If anyone, this was the best ball you could ever get, I reckon, to start an innings. They went with their right arm Offie, who I think he bowled like 3 overs in the India series. And he dishes one up, like full half tracker, well outside off for Finchy to get off the mark, smacked it through cover point for 4, and he got bowled. It was a little bit unlucky with a bit of a chop on. We were concerned, I suppose, about the way that he has been playing stuff off his middle and leg stumps. Anything kind of seaming in, trying to work it through the leg side, getting trapped LBW, getting bowled, and the like. And I'll stay by my statements that I've made all year. I think Finch gets the World Cup, and then there might be a conversation, although he definitely needs some runs.
Yeah, the problem, though, is the ball that he did chop on was probably something he should have put away, put to the fence.
Probably should have left it, really. Yeah. It was like
or had, that option as well. Maybe a bit of pressure there to try and do something that maybe could have left alone and lived to fight another day. But
it was like he was just trying to kind of guide it down to third man. That late cut, I swear, it always gets you into more trouble than it ever gets you out of. But Finchy in need of some runs. Smudge just kind of going about it pretty slowly, sort of striking at about 60 there. And Stoinis looks like he wants to get stuck into the beers up there in the nice weather. He's having a bit of a swing.
They've just got over 60 to go with half the overs still to go.
Yeah, so they will shit this in. But we've got cricket. It's good for Townsville to get 3 games. Good for the people of North Queensland, and like I said, that the serendipity with that being the where Andrew Simon's hailed from, and a lot of people out there for Roy, and having a beer and paying their respects, I suppose, with the first game that Australia's played in Australia since his passing. Yep. Big Bash draft this evening, boys.
Yeah.
Big Bash, I think a lot of people kind of been take it or leave it last few years. Crowd numbers have been down. Some people say the season goes too long. A lot of people say the season goes too long. Does this draft reignite your interest in the Big Bash, or is it a bit of a meh? Sean?
Well, I'm interested to see if anyone makes the first round pick. I think they will. I think they've kind of alluded that.
You're going with eight passes because they can pass. They can pass, and there are projected to be a fair few passes, perhaps in the later rounds.
Yes.
I really, really hope that the first 8 all go.
Yeah, I think that's going to probably be safe. It'll be interesting to see if anyone looks to poach, because I think some are going to use their first rounder to retain a guy of good quality from that's played within our squads. And
and the big chat around that is Rashid Khan and the Adelaide Strikers.
Yes, that was the main one.
They've the Strikers that is have come out and said that they want to retain. Is that a little bit of bluffing? A little bit of strategy, or is it just this bloke's been really fucking good?
What
for
are
us?
they pick like fifth,
I think.
Yeah.
Fifth, and then you kind of got to think. Is Rashid Khan a top 5 player on that list? Looking at the list, I'd probably say he is. I don't think it's a bluff. I think the Strikers will retain Rashid Khan, and I think that will be the only retaining of players in the first round.
Yeah. So I guess it then goes to those guys around them. Who will they pick, and whether they'll look to poach or steal from someone else that had a guy playing in their squad. So it'll be interesting.
So you are saying it does make you a little bit more interested in the competition after?
I'm probably not going to sit there and watch the hours of Big Bash League draft.
I probably will,
but I'll check the results afterwards.
That much of a dead shit loser. I've got nothing else better to do on a Sunday afternoon than to subjugate my whole family to the Big Bash draft on courtesy. It is on KO. You can watch it.
Maybe not for the first one, but it's got to do something to the league to bring it up, and we got to see. They're now got a direct competition with the AEE league.
UAE, yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And Chris Lynn is going to play in both leagues.
Yeah, so I don't know how that's working. FIFO.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fly out.
Chris Lynn, he's FIFOing. He's going in the mines. He's doing everything.
I think he's playing Big Bash up until when the UAE league starts.
And then he will bail. And then
will he come back?
I think that's pretty much Big Bash League up until finals, and then he's out.
Yeah, right. So no finals. That's big.
Pretty much, I think, yeah.
That is big.
Yeah. But I guess if he's getting paid almost $1 million over a 3-month period.
Exactly. This comes back to kind of our Cam Smith, defecting to the Live Golf Tour chat. If someone throws that kind of money at you, maybe you've got to consider your future, although possibly not the best, comparison. Cam Smith might have 100 times more reasons to defect.
There's a few more zeros.
Indeed. It is the Adelaide Strikers as well, who Chris Lynn will be playing some of the season for. Obviously made a name for himself at the Brisbane Heat, a long tenure there. I think the most sixes ever in the Big Bash League.
James, I saw a kind of a prediction. Do you have the who's going to go first prediction? Who do you think is going to go one?
I think it'll be Liam Livingston.
Do not have that.
I think it'll be Liam Livingston. I think based on form, what he's done in the IPL, the Melbourne Renegades go first. Their batting has been dreadful recently, led by poor Aaron Finch. Not to throw him under the bus again. Love you, Finchy. Hopefully he makes.
Well, they live and die by how Finchy does. So yeah.
So I think that seems to be the consensus. Some other big names in that platinum group are the likes of Trent Bolt, New Zealand seamer. I don't know if that's their team need, if that's who they'll go for. But I expect to see Trent Bolt go early. And Faf du Plessis, like he's been there, he's done that, he's consistent, he's got that much IPL experience. Wouldn't be surprised if Faf were to pip Liam Livingston and go first, but I expect it to be Livingston 1 and Faf maybe 2 or 3. Here we go. Muncie's got a little mock draft up there, courtesy of Cricket Australia. They have got Liam Livingston going first to the Renegades, Trent Bolt going to the Stars at 2, Faf 3 to the Heat, and then Rashid Khan to be retained, and then into the back end. Oh, Shabad Khan, Pakistani. I like this. I think that's a really good one there with David Willey. He's played a lot for the Perth Scorchers. He's a platinum player. He didn't play, I believe, last year enough to be retained or at all. I think all he had to do was play last year to be retained. Dre Russ expected to go in the first round, and Kyron Pollard. So a little bit of a mix. A few of the West Indian big hitting all-rounders, and then some premium batting talent in the likes of Livingston and Faf, and of course Rashid Khan expected to be retained by the Strikers. But look to me, I'm a bit of a cricket nerd. It does kind of wane some kind of interest for me, to the point that I probably will watch it and be somewhat excited by it. But yeah, like you said before, Sean, I think Cricket Australia needed to do something bold, with the advent of this Emirati League and the waning crowd numbers and interest and lack of sort of public intrigue outside of, I hate to say it, women and children, in the Big Bash in recent years.
Yeah, well, the Big Bash, the goal there was always to get young cricket fans into the sport.
And they've done that in spades. You look at all the kids there, KFC buckets on their heads, wearing the jerseys. Dad, take me to the T20.
Well, that's the thing. They got to make sure that mum and dad want to turn up and bring the kids to it.
Yeah, want to be there
instead of flicking it on the TV. But I just hope this draft doesn't end up being a shit show where they've the first two rounds end up being more passes than picks. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
I hope not.
It's $340,000 is what is the price for these platinum players. Yeah, that's big money for Big Bash, but we're not talking about investing $2.5 million AUDs like what happens in the IPL. Do you know what I mean? So that maybe it takes the pressure off a little bit. Like I said before, I don't think there'll be any passes in the first round. If we do see some passes, I think it might be in the mid rounds.
Yeah, good.
We do have Test cricket as well, just quietly. Back underway, and is Bazball dead? Hard to tell. Two of the stranger tests that you'll see between England and South Africa. The first test, you could say Bazball is dead. South Africa went out and said, Bazball this, you pommy fuck.
Ran through.
Yeah, with one of the... I was going to say one of the, but no, fuck it, I'll go out and say it. Probably the premier seam attack in the world, with Kasiga Rabada, Marco Janssen, Anrik Nortje, and Lungi Ngidi. They didn't have to bowl the spinners at all in that first innings. Rabada getting 5 for 52 and Nortje ripping through. It was kind of the old England, before this summer of, if Root doesn't score runs, oh fuck, kind of deal there. And then sort of everyone kind of chipped in with the bat for the South Africans. And then in the second innings, same kind of thing, a real team effort with the ball between Nortje, Rabada, Maharaj actually getting some work there in the first test. And then we thought, the Bazball, that was fun while it lasted, a few fucking days of, a few months of, a few weeks even. I'll get my time right at some stage of Bazball. And then in the second test, South Africa got absolutely unced. Like they lost by an innings and 85 runs. Stokes scored, striking at 64, 100. Ben Folkes, back into the team after his injury run, replacing Sam Billings. He's probably cemented his spot for quite some time with 113 not. And their quicks did a job. It was the old heads as well. Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad, and the likes, and Ollie Robinson in that second innings with a 4 for 43.
I think it, can complete flip and change in the two test matches there, but it also might be dependent on conditions and the pitch they're actually playing on. Because if you go back to that England scorecard, if you go run through the top and when you get to Barstow and Stokes, if they don't score, no one's done anything in the first 4 or 5. So they are playing that high scoring, risky game. Like, yes, it'll, some you're going to lose, some you're going to win. And you kind of see how they can quickly turn that. I guess if they score runs, they kind of get the confidence in it, and that gives them the ability to bowl well. I think it comes off their bowling too a little bit too.
And both sides bowling. An interesting probably decision from the South Africans to bat first on a seaming deck in that second one. Yeah. Very similar in terms of the way that it played out between both tests and who batted first. Mm-hmm. It was the team that batted first that really struggled, ball hooping around, and then the deck kind of sort of plays it into something that's semi-habitable. But it makes for a really interesting third test upcoming. Obviously, there's a series on the line. We've got World Test Championship kind of stuff, to consider. South Africa doing their best to keep up with the big three of Australia, England, and India, and with that pace attack. Like I said, a few minutes ago, I generally think that is probably the premier pace attack in the world. Not to take anything away from Hazelwood, Stark, and Cummins on a hard deck down here, down under. But I think around the world that South African attack's looking really legit.
Yeah, and Pakistan and New Zealand have chasing as well. Like it's a pretty competitive top 6. So
I think probably, Monksy, if you wouldn't mind bringing up the World Test Championship, I think New Zealand have really cooked themselves this time around, and it's gonna.
They didn't win at home, so that's probably they're going to be a big win.
Yeah,
they've got to win at home.
Losing to Bangladesh at home does hurt. So it is currently Australia and South Africa with a little bit of buffer actually before you get to Sri Lanka, India, Pakistan, West Indies, England, New Zealand, Bangladesh. I wonder what the time frame is. So we're about halfway. We're about halfway through. I believe.
The other one just finished. So I think it's 12 months, isn't it?
It's 2 years. It's 2 years, but the
other one
July 2021 to June 2023.
Yeah, that's right.
Financial years, eh?
Yeah.
The account down the end, getting it done. Get your tax fucking numbers in and get your World Test Championship rankings up. There you go. So as it stands, halfway through the 2 year accounting period, it's Australia and the Saffers 1 and 2 there.
Yep.
Well, Stein went very quick and Mishmarch followed very quickly.
Yeah, so it's got to be. We're not going to waltz it in here. Live updates here on the Esky.
45 still to go, but it's still got 5.
They should be fine. They should be fine. Like I said, I think
Did
maybe
you put the curse on them earlier?
maybe.
They got over's not an issue. Is probably wickets at this point. Just don't throw it away.
Well, overs aren't an issue. I'll happily say that, needing 46 off 120 odd balls. But with Maxwell and Smudgy at the crease, I'll back the Aussies in there to get there.
Just don't throw it away.
I hope we don't watch a capitulation unfold on the on the Esky live in front of our eyes, as happened before at India. Hey, Maxwell doesn't give a fuck. He wants to get down the pub. He's launched his first ball for 4 over mid on there.
Well, look at that. This over 4 wicket to wicket 4.
They want to get it done. They want to get it done. They've got 3 one-days playing against Zimbabwe. Yes, it was nice to send off Roy and the rest of it. You know, bringing cricket up to Townsville, but these boys are kind of thinking, really, this is a long summer. Like, let's try and get on top of things here. Let's get down before it gets dark. The Asian Cup as well, I think, kicks off tonight.
Yeah, India versus Pakistan.
Yeah,
believe,
so they will play each other at least twice, I believe, in this. Arguably the biggest fixture in world cricket. Probably genuine hatred between Indian and Pakistani fans.
Well, it's a massive rivalry, which will generate hatreds.
Transcends cricket.
Yeah. Possibly transcends cricket. Possibly.
We don't talk politics.
Your thoughts on the end there? Yeah. A bit of Imran Khan chat. Yeah, he's been in the news for the wrong reasons. It was such a nice series we just had in Pakistan. I really was hoping for a little bit more political stability. But we like to talk cricket.
Back to cricket.
Who was the last? The Hong Kongers. Did they get in? The Hong Kongers?
They got in, yeah.
Viva la Hong Kong. Monkeys premier team. We're going to burn Australian jerseys. We're putting up a Hong Kong jersey. They're in. Who have they got? India and Pakistan.
Yeah, not going to last long. So they pulled into Group A against India and Pakistan.
Yeah.
So see how that goes. But yeah, first game has already happened.
Afghanistan and Sri Lanka.
Yep. Yeah, Afghanistan won by 8 wickets. Sri Lanka was all out for 105. Afghanistan.
Look at that. Got the runs in 10 overs.
Yeah.
10 overs. Watch out. Afghanistan T20 is legit.
Yeah.
They are legit. And look, they've won one, so that they probably go through.
Yeah.
So all the pressure on Sri Lanka now to beat Bangladesh. We'll keep an eye on that one. I believe the Asian Cup was usually one-day format, obviously with a T20 World Cup this year. They've gone the T20 format there. Was meant to be held in Sri Lanka. Again, like to talk cricket, not politics. They thought, that's a bit of a fucking hot mess at the moment. Move it over to the Emirates.
Plus there's plenty of money in the Emirates, which is a big difference.
Yeah. Well, another thing that we like to discuss here on the Esky is Emirati / Saudi oil money.
Yeah, they haven't killed us yet. So
they haven't given. Yeah. Viva la Live Golf. Fuck the PGA. I love Live. Okay.
Moving right along.
Any other cricket to discuss? We We do have the World Cup. It's.
Oh well, I was just going to make that point. One day one dayers continuing to die a slow death. You
love pushing this envelope, and I think it's fair. Although
maybe not in our generation, but yeah, I don't see it lasting the next 20 years.
The pinnacle of tournament cricket is still the one day World Cup. But yeah, dying death by 1,000 paper cuts, if you will. Bloody saw the old paper cut. You ever get in between the webbing your finger? If that was one, you just be go, oh, Jesus, you've got 999 of these to go. Strange saying. Yeah. Death by 1,000 paper cuts, one day cricket versus T20 cricket. Let us know in the comments. Let's talk some rugby league.
Round 24.
Rugby league penultimate round for my real league fans, but might not understand that word. That does mean the second from last. The second from last. And maybe a team that doesn't understand rugby league at the moment, the Brisbane Broncos. They got absolutely belted Thursday night, 53-6 by the Parramatta Eels. They've conceded 113 in the last 2 games. They drop out of the 8, and pretty hard to see them getting back in. If I'm being completely honest, we'll talk about that and the Canberra Raiders in just 1 second. Clint Gutherson was really good. 2 meat pies, 2 try assists, 189, excuse me. Don't want to rob him of that metre. 189 run metres, probably the best for the Parramatta Eels. But the big talking point, boys, was announced on Tuesday. They picked the sides, and there was no Selwyn Cobbo. We thought, does he have an injury? What's the go?
Yeah, well, running with the reserves at Red Hill up there as well. So that was picked up by the media pretty quickly too. And yeah, the announcement backed that up as well, that he was not going to play this week.
Due to? Fatigue,
burnout, rest, mental health, the lot essentially, I think.
I didn't hear mental health.
Yeah, well, the challenges of rugby league. I think fatigue across the board.
Yeah,
it
was physical. I thought was from my understanding of what I was reading. Obviously, had the horrible concussion in State of Origin. He's only 20 years of age.
I think he's only played 2 games since then. So that as well. Like he's still coming back, recovering from all of that has happened. Long season for a 19-year-old,
20,
yeah, like a young fella, like he's still growing into a professional. So not unsurprised, and with how long the season is, not unsurprised that there won't be more in the future as well. That need hit that rookie wall, as you would say, getting to the back end of the season. That they need a bit of a break.
So you don't mind it? Must win game.
You want Cobbo to be playing probably fullback for Brisbane for the next 10 years. So I'm more worried about that than this one game. Yeah,
I'm going to agree with here, and probably a lot of, the rhetoric, a lot of the old maybe boomers, it's fucking soft, like just play, it's a must-win game, yada, 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 your team needs you, that I've kind of been reading in the comments and the like.
The dinosaurs, as you will.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I think, yes, it is a must-win game. But if a bloke is not feeling up to it physically, is it worth him playing at 75%, or is it worth him saying, "Hey guys, I'm banged up, I'm tired, I'm knackered." Get Jordan Pereira in there and go out and play. Maybe not the best thing for them, for Bronco morale, your young superstar.
But does Cobbo make a 50-point difference in this one?
Exactly not. Exactly not. And that's where I'm going to agree with you. It was an absolute shambles from the Brisbane Broncos. Yeah. I think Kevy Walters, the least of his problems was Selwyn Cobbo sitting this game out.
Yeah. And you don't want to push him and then, like he tears a hamstring or something. And
imagine that he puts his hand up and says, "I'm tired." The physios, Monday, they're trying to name the team Tuesday. Yeah. He goes, "I'm tired." They say, "Oh, I think you'll be right. You play." And he tears his hamstring or does get hurt.
And you look at Tom Trbojevic, like the turbo. They've got to manage his hamstrings and manage his workload essentially. Otherwise, they end up with a season like the Manly you've got. A guy that comes in and out. You want him to be playing a full season, be healthy, and be dominant. And that's kind of, I guess, the trajectory they want to see Cobbo come into is being an elite fullback, playing for Brisbane. Yep. Or even, maybe. Well, actually, I think it's fullback. I think they're going to go with Walsh next year at 1, and then potentially move him to 6. But who knows?
Old Nostradamus down here. He's looking into the future. He's trying to line it all up. How's the 2028 Broncos going to look at? Do I jump from being a Canberra Raiders fan to Brisbane, depending on their 5-year plan? Not really sure.
That's it.
I will agree with you, Sean. It's rare actually that we kind of fully agree here on the Esky. And here's the other point that I'll make. Anyone that was a few weeks ago, saying, yeah, we need more mental health awareness in the game, obviously the Paul Green tragedy. Anyone that's wanting to, sing that rhetoric, which I completely agree with, and then comes out and bashes Cobbo and goes, "Come on, you're a 20-year-old, man up, just play.
Soft.
You're soft. What's the game gotten to? Yada yada yada." I don't know if those
hypocritical.
Exactly hypocritical. I don't know if those
you can't have it both ways.
Exactly, and that's what I was seeing a lot of in the last few weeks. If I'm being frank, so look, it was a must-win game. Cobbo rules himself out. Would he have affected the outcome of the game? No.
Probably not.
They've got a lot more to worry about.
I think the bigger issue was losing Adam Reynolds.
HIA early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they lost all their structure essentially and got dicked.
It was ugly.
Yeah, it was definitely an ugly game.
It was ugly.
Kevin gave him a huge spray throughout, so we'll see. They've probably got to score 50 next week to even have a potential chance of making it back in the 8.
We'll talk about it now, just briefly. Obviously, the Raiders smashed the Sea Eagles. Mm-hmm. We will, review that game in just a minute. It looks highly unlikely now for the Broncos. I think that they've done a bit of a Carlton, if you will, although it wasn't 1 point involved.
A week too early.
There was 47 involved, but that they were, they had a really good year in the 8 most of the year, and they have been on the slide. And for Green Machine fans, that they would have been licking their lips at the Parramatta performance Thursday night. A few nice memes of Ricky Stewart wearing blue and gold, and Canberra Raiders really cheering on the Parramatta Eels, who they may face in the first week of the finals.
Well, they'll know because Brisbane play Dragons on the Saturday, and then the afternoon game
West
is on
Tigers,
the Sunday. So
who just proved to be a hard mission for the St George Dragons. Mm-hmm. Friday night, Penrith smacked the Warriors 46-12. The Panthers were just about unbackable at $1.03. I think there was about a 25 point line. Jerome Luai, probably the big story out of this one, back earlier than expected from his MCL, which is good for Panthers fans. Probably the rest of the league are thinking, oh, great, they've already got Luai back. We know when Cleary will be available. They definitely look like the team to beat, as they have all year. 2 tries each to Brighton To'o and Taylor May in that one.
Yeah, presented with the minor premiership trophy after the game as well.
Official minor premiership this week. They did get it last week mathematically, but presented with it this week. Mm-hmm. Boys, the game of the round, and probably the most talking points from it, was Friday night, the Storm going down to the Roosters at AAMI Park, so a big win there for the Roosters. I think they're about $2.20, $2.30 outsiders. In this one, a hard, fiery game of rugby league between two powerhouses of late. And it started with the two big men, the two double barrel, the two...
Of course it does.
I've heard other people say at times grubby behaviour. I won't say that because I don't want to say that to their faces or put it on the internet or have anything to do with that. Thank you, Jared Warrior-Hargraves. Thank you, Nelson at Sofa Solomono. I'm big fans of your work, and I liked what I saw on Friday night. It was fiery. It started pretty early on. Big Nelson Sofa Solomono, he didn't take a liking to that JWH hit on Cam Munster. It was a little bit high. There's a bit of niggle, maybe a few pseudo punches thrown. And then referee Adam Gee comes in and he says to Teddy and Kenny Bromwich, there's a line in the sand, let's not let this get out of hand. Mm-hmm. Next minute, Sofa Solomono just runs it straight at Jared Warrior-Hargraves. It was probably a clean shot, hard but clean. But then on the ground in the ruck, a little bit of face massage and maybe some kind of face raking. Kind of.
They had to sit one of them down just probably get
someone had to call off
because it was getting out of hand. Like it was going. Oh, this is fireworks. This is absolute fireworks.
My sports feed was full of dog shots from this entire game. There was Nelson had a knee on the ground when he comes across and knees a dude in the head. Another Nelson elbow drop as well in a tackle. Munster got done for his elbow drop on Sam Walker as well. Swinging arm Hargraves. There was plenty of elbow drops and niggle in this one, unfortunately, which I think led by those two front rowers was where it kind of all came together. And Ref had to try to bring a handle back into this game. Had to sit one of them down.
You know what he looked like? He looked like a relief teacher in year 6, and the kids are going mad. They're swapping their names. They're pegging mashed up paper. They got the little spit guns out, getting the teacher in the back of the head. They're doing that kind of stuff, and he's really trying to do something to settle them all down. He did his best. He drew a line in the sand. He had to come good and probably send one of them to the bin. Yeah. Trent Robinson wasn't a fan of it. Of course, he's not going to be. He probably would have thought it was
play on.
Yeah, play on. It's probably lucky that this didn't erupt into full melee as well. Anyways, It was a cracking game of rugby league. After the Warrior Hargraves sin binning, it did kind of get a little bit more settled and a bit more into the technical aspect of the game rather than just hard hits and biff. Joey Manu, great again. We talk about how underrated he is all the time, but I think everyone kind of rates him now. So I don't know if we can use the term underrated so much with Joey Manu. He had 172 run meters and a meat pie, I believe, in this one.
Yep.
Well, potentially maybe he plays 6 next year. Like there's.
I think he could. I think he could.
They go with him as 6 and Walker as the future. And
is Keary off contract? That'll be hard to look up. But if you can just maybe try and find Luke Keary's.
He's been a little bit on the outer of late. So
which is harsh for a guy that was absolutely on top of the world not long ago, has won multiple premierships, has both a chook and a rabbit. Probably the big story, I suppose, from the night was the Victor Radley concussion, which ended with convulsions. You never like to see that on the field. By all accounts, was sitting up, talking, coherent.
He was good.
In the sheds afterwards. It's tough. It seems like every other week we're talking about concussion in rugby league. What were your thoughts?
Well, without knowing the results, potentially no concussion there, and it was just a clean, absolute knockout, like a UFC type knockout, and hence the muscle convulsions.
No concussion.
You can get your light turned off completely and not have concussion symptoms following on from it. Yeah. My point is, I'd say it was worse. He got knocked the fuck out. So.
Well, but he didn't have the long symptoms.
Yes.
And the team doctor Tom Longworth, who's going to have his work cut out for him in the next coming weeks, he said that's more concerning. Is the long lingering symptoms, the headache, the nausea, the sleepiness, which Victor didn't really have.
Plus, Victor's play style and getting knocked the fuck out. The chin now is more of a question.
Yeah, and
Roosters playing style with.
It was a month
last
ago.
Season.
It was a month ago that we were asking, is he the toughest man in rugby league? There's an argument for it to be had, but obviously have to consider long-term welfare and the rest of it.
Especially when you start using, if we start talking about his chin, we're using boxing terminology to talk about a football player. And, we see that team, unfortunately, he's got a bit of a history of it. Jake Friend, Boyd Cordner, etc.
You don't want to see an early retirement. He's a 24-year-old who...
Exactly, you don't want to have to be forced into that. So, and that was a bad one, trying to take on the big Bromwich brother and putting his head in the wrong spot and getting a hip.
Was it elbow?
No, he had come across and he took a full hip.
Okay.
And went down like a sack of potatoes. Yep. I think people get stuck into the coverage showing the convulsions, but I think also they didn't know, they can't predict that's happening.
Exactly.
He's on the field knocked out for a good probably 10 seconds and then he starts convulsing. And it's just that's probably the point where you cut away, but you can't blame them for going, oh shit, what's happening going on here? It's not a thing you regularly see on a rugby league field. It's more something you'd see in the cage in a big fight. So.
In the octagon, yeah.
Well, that being said, is this something to do with the Roosters' playing style? What's going on with the
100% accidental in this? Where if you want it, you can actually go find the replay. 8 minutes 45 is when it happened. He just head in the wrong spot, which happens. He's come inside the body instead of across it, and it's essentially just hip to temple. Good night. That's all she wrote.
Yeah, fair enough. Just back on Luke Keary. Yeah, so it looks like he's contracted through to 2024. $850K a year.
So 2 years. I don't think Joey Manu's
years.
playing 16 anytime soon when he's on that money.
Yeah, but there's salary cap constraints over there. Whether they look to move him to gain room has also been the chat. So.
I'm sure there'd be a lot of clubs that'd like to sign Luke Keary.
Yeah, well, West Tigers. Anyone in the bottom 8, definitely.
And Dragons probably take him as good as Junior Amon has been for us this year. Yeah, just going back to Victor just quickly. I imagine he sits out next week, and then it's up to the team doctor and him and the Roosters medical team to make an assessment as to week 1 of the finals to see how you go. It'll be an elimination game. Do you see if he has a good 2 weeks, gear up and see how you go, or do you say line through his season? I'm glad it's a decision that we don't have to make here, and then we'll leave it up to the medical team there at the Chooks, and hopefully Victor makes a speedy recovery. And like we said, the team doctor said wasn't long symptoms afterwards, which is promising signs despite the distressing nature of it on the field. Lindsay Collins could be in some hot water as well for hip drop. We spoke a few weeks ago.
I think the rumours are 4 weeks.
Jeez, that's quite some time. Obviously missed all of last year
what did
with
Carrigan
an
get?
ACL. Carrigan got 4 or 5.
I think 5.
Yeah, they really tried.
Because didn't Josh get 5 the year before, or did he get 4? So I think
it's all 4s and 5s. It's always
that's the ballpark.
Yeah.
So yeah, which would season done for him?
Yeah, yep, it is.
Yeah,
unless
not enough weeks.
Well, if you got 4 and they made the grand final, that's the only way.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, it's pretty close too. And that's the nature of the hip drop tackle and rugby league at the moment.
They want it out, so yes.
Stamping. Raiders absolutely smashed the Manly Seagulls 48-6. It's Canberra's biggest win ever over Manly. They jump into the 8, as we aforementioned. They most likely play finals footy this year. They just need to beat the Tigers. The big thing was the points difference swing. So with Brisbane getting pumped and the Raiders winning by 42, it was just about a 100-point turnaround on points difference. Hudson Young, he's been a revelation. He's been a try-scoring machine. He has 11 on the season now, second amongst forwards, and this is a testament to how good a season this bloke's having. Jeremiah Nanai has 17 tries. So he's the top-scoring forward in the league with 17, and 6 behind him is Hudson Young on 11. It's pretty incredible season that the 19-year-old Jeremiah Nanai is having. Seb Crisp, good. Jamal Fogarty, good. Shans Nickel Clockstad, there was, scenes playing his last game well,
he was playing reserve, so he played in the game before, and last game in Canberra.
And he was in tears, and obviously this city meant a lot to him, and I think the Warriors will have themselves a pretty handy fullback next year, with him returning to his home nation.
So they farewelled him. They farewelled Ryan Sutton, who I think is going to the Doggies, and Josh Hodgson, who's going to the Eels as well. So finish up, a bit of a change in the guard from the team that went to the grand final only a couple of years ago.
Yeah, not too many left. Yeah. Not too many left from that team, is there? Whiten, Papali'i, Rapana, Tarpany, off the bench.
Maybe. He might have been playing lock in that one.
Yeah. But a bit of a changing of the guard, indeed. Yeah. What happens, if they make the 8, do they get a red-hot Parramatta team, or it's going to depend?
It depends on which Parramatta team shows up.
That's a great point.
Well, they'll get the Dave Grohls on it.
They've looked good so far. They've definitely looked more, like proper foo fighting.
Yeah, they switched. They flicked the switch a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, they've definitely been better.
This is learn to fly kind of shit, not pretender. Bit of Foo Fighters here for you on Triple M. The Sharks beat the Bulldogs 16-0. Ronaldo Mulitalo scored a double. It means the Cronulla Sharks go to second. With the Cowboys loss, which we'll get stuck into in a second. Definite overs for what was expected out of this Cronulla group.
Such a quiet year as well. I think everyone else has been in the news and had all hoopla about them. The Sharks have just been quietly going along their way, playing good footy, and Craig Fitzgibbon over there had been doing a good job.
Massive first-year coach for Fitzy, first year for Nico Hines at the Sharks. We kind of talk about him each week. I think he will be a smoky for the Dally M. Be nice to be able to punt on that. I really wish that those blokes didn't have that leak a few years ago, and Craig Bellamy didn't go dressed as Beetlejuice to the fucking Dally M's. And I don't know what that has to do with punting, but they're my two gripes with the Dally M at the moment. But yeah, Nico Hines has had a very good season. Andrew Fafita and Aidan Tolman announced that they will be retiring.
Yeah, I think Tolman's retiring. Fafita's leaving the club, but he might get a deal elsewhere.
Super League.
I don't think he's got a deal, so whether he stays for a Sydney club or goes overseas, yeah. But either way, he's leaving the Sharks, I think was the main news.
Fafita leaving, Tolman to retire. That's how it shall go in the annals of history. Annals. Sorry. Freudian slip there. South 20, Cowboys 10, Cam Murray and Keon Koloamatangi impressed. Alex Johnson
scored once.
Johnson only scored once. He goes to 28, so needs a double. Next week against the Chooks.
Do you reckon they'll try to force feed him?
No, I think they'll want to win. It's a big game. It's in the new stadium. It's Friday night. I don't think that will be on their minds. Oh, he needs to score 30 tries. They'll think we want to fucking win this footy game. The thing is, the way they win footy games is often by feeding him the ball, or going down that left edge and scoring through Alex Johnson. Maybe subconsciously it might come to fruition. Really looking forward to that game. A lot's been spoken about this new stadium. Did they spend too much money on it? Why didn't they put more seating into it? How's it all going to happen? We'll find out on Friday night when these two arch enemies go up against it.
Yeah, hopefully a big crowd there.
Cohen Hess goes to the bin last night for his high shot on Campbell Graham. Also, it was pretty much a KO as well on poor Campbell. So hopefully he makes a good recovery. And I will make the comparison, the Finucane shot a few weeks ago where it was kind of like incidental, but it was slightly high.
Well, I think that was high but was more of a head clash than this one was. Yeah. I thought there was a little bit more shoulder in this one.
I agree. And Finucane got 3 weeks.
Yeah. So, but I thought it was Gus, of course, getting on his pedestal and having a shout that, that's not a sin being in rada, but I think if you knock the fuck out. Then
and it always looks worse in slow motion. It always looks like 5 years ago, that's a good shot.
But at full speed, it looks more like shoulder than it does head.
Yeah.
So I think from a rest perspective, there's intent there. Sit him down, especially since the guy's probably his day is done as well. So
Yep. Yeah. So Cohen may be in a little bit of hot water at the tribunal.
Yeah, I think so.
Is there a port? What is he facing? Because it's Sunday afternoon. We should.
Yeah, so we'll miss one game with an early guilty plea
and
or two if he elects.
So that's an interesting way of looking at it. I suppose the Finucane one, the thing that made it was so nuts was he raced out of that line, whereas this was like a little bit less kamikaze-esque from Cohen Hess. He'll take the early guilty, miss next week, fuck it, play week one of finals, Yeah.
Cowboys need him.
Indeed.
Yes.
The Dragons Tigers we'll talk about for the next 45 minutes. No, we won't. Sunday afternoon, two meaningless games essentially. Although the battle for the spoon, we get a clearer picture. The Dragons snuck home by the length of my foreskin. Not very long, although there is some there. Zach Lomax kicked it on the siren to win by 2 points.
After he, I think, was high shot in that as well to get that penalty.
And the Dragons, we watched the first half before the pod started rather, and they've kind of been following along with it in the background. Big sigh of relief for us Dragons fans here. We will feel if we beat Brisbane next week, we might finish the gentleman's 9th. That'll be
higher than the gentleman's 10th you were aiming for.
Exactly, that's what I said. I said at the start of the year, happy with gentleman's 10th, and I'll take both my teams in the AFL and NRL finishing a gentleman's 9th. Thank you. 2 9s, 18 doesn't beat 21. Blackjack, anyways. They did their best to lose this game in the first half. Ill discipline. Cody Ramsey, professional foul. Yeah, okay, probably you might just cop that. He goes to the bin. Jack Bird, mouthing off at the ref. He gets marched 10 and then keeps going, and then.
Well, I think the penalty was one because he contacted the fullback.
Yeah, in the air. In the air. So that was the initial penalty.
Yep.
And then mouthed, marched 10.
Yeah.
Kept chirping, got sent. And in that time, sorry, not sent. He got sin bin.
Sin bin. Yeah.
He got sin bin.
And I was going to ask, is this the same ref that was called incompetent a week ago?
Good question. Which ref is it?
I have a vague feeling it might have been.
We had
Liam Kennedy. Is that the
Liam Kennedy
main referee?
as the main referee. Yep.
Ring any bells?
No.
Yeah, good chat.
You have to go look at Tigers game from last week.
Tigers game from last week.
Regardless, we don't want to linger too much on this blockbuster, but the Dragons come away with a win despite some ill discipline in the first half.
Ben Cummins.
Different
Cummins.
one.
That's right. Ben Cummins incompetent. Yeah, that makes sense because he called 6 again. Yes, he is incompetent.
We are alluding to the James
six
Tarmow,
again.
the James Tarmow fiasco within the week. So he did call Ben Cummins, not Liam Kennedy, incompetent. That's quite that's reasonable language, I think, to use against a rugby league referee.
I think it was
is that what you're calling me? Oh,
Yeah.
I think it's probably surrounded by
with some few expletives.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd agree. So essentially, because they wanted to give him 2 weeks. The club fought it, and because he's retiring at the end of the year. And they fought it, and they got it reduced to 1, so he will get to play next week. 100% got let off for being a good bloke.
Yeah, well, that
it's the
was
opposite of having priors. It's having good, good bloke priors, etc.
Yes.
But some funny meme work this week as well.
The NRL memes.
The NRL memes. The Twitter community is always pretty vicious, saying James Tarmow, subjugated to further punishment, has to play again for the West Tigers, etc. Poor fella. I think if they want to take prize into account when they add weeks on. Good behaviour. It's like in the criminal justice system, good behaviour. Yeah,
True.
Take 6 months off your suspension.
It's open to
Suspension
potential
or
life sentence.
Life sentence. That's what I'm after. Thank you. 6 months.
Sentence
That's right. If you take 6 months off a rugby league suspension, he must have killed someone.
It does open a potential can of worms, though, because I think Cameron Smith got a bit of that in his time as well. The good bloke.
Allegedly.
Allowed him play some grand finals. I wonder if there'll be more tact with other players potentially trying to do this. Swinging arm, Hargraves probably not, but a few of others maybe will try to squeak through.
It's not every day someone retires from footy as well.
But should you take that into account?
Yeah, because go back to the thing, like if it's good bloke chat leading into the grand finals, give him the fine instead of the 1 week, because he's a good bloke. Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot of shades of grey, as there seems to be with every single thing that we talk about when we follow the NRL. I feel like it's Australian. He's a fucking good bloke. Mate, he's a good bloke. He's a stand-up bloke. He's a stand-up bloke.
What's your legal defence? Oh, he's a good bloke.
He's a good bloke, yeah. And your Aussie lawyer goes, yeah, mate, no, he's a fucking good bloke. You're all right. Yeah. Getting a bit dribbly here. Let's keep moving. A big story. It doesn't pertain necessarily to the Tigers, but they were the first to kind of confirm that they are contemplating. They're trying to put a contract together to lure Cameron Munster to come along to save them. Who's going to save us? Maybe Cameron Munster. 5 years, $7 million reported. That is a massive contract.
It's been a quite interesting week for Munster because I think the Titans actually said they were chasing him. And the Tigers said we are as well with potentially this money deal. Then Tim Sheens came out and go, well, that's news to me, which would be funny as well. And then, of course, the Dolphins have already said, we're going to offer him 1.4 a year. So, again, huge money.
But it's 200 grand more than anyone, or maybe 100 more than DCE, but would make him the highest paid player in the league. And based on his play, probably deserves to be.
I think, and maybe this is also probably some of his management because he doesn't officially come off contract till November. But they've created a market for him. So, maybe these teams are not as heavily in the contention or chasing him, but they've, created that market that, hey, he's going to be going for, the 1.4 or plus. And if he wants to stay at the Storm, maybe they need to pony up. And I don't think they've probably got that room anymore. But whether that's, instead of the 700 you have offered me, get that into the mill and maybe that'll keep him there. Otherwise, he's going to have plenty of suitors, which is potentially, like you just said, one of the, if not the best NFL player at the moment.
Going back to the Roosters chat, they were planning to offload players to potentially get Munster as well, but
that's sombrero.
Definitely.
He's that's cheating. That's straight up cheating. He can't go to the Roosters, dude.
You get a new Mercedes every week.
Yeah. That is sombrero, paper bags, etc., etc. Sorry, not sorry, chooks, but that. Nah, I'm not following next year if he's wearing 6 for them. The teams that we just mentioned in the Tigers, the Dolphins, the startup, and the Titans. If you're Cameron Munster, would you rather go to a new rugby league club under a legend in Wayne Bennett and try to I'm not going to say single-handedly, but be the key piece, let's say, in their development of a club? Would that sound more enticing to you than, say, going to these basket case clubs like the Tigers and the Titans?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, also look at the roster. Like the Bromwich brothers are both there. He's played with them. They're probably going to have a better forward pack than the Titans and the Tigers currently have.
I was talking about this in a group chat this week. Their forward pack's not bad. Aging, it's old.
Yeah,
it's old, but it's experienced, and I'd say on paper it's better than some forward packs in the league at the moment. The backs, it begs a bit.
They've got the leads there, and I think Sean Sullivan probably plays 7. And if you add Munster to it, that's probably the glue you need. But he won't of course play for them next year because it's only the following year when his deal ends.
Yes, exactly.
So he's got plenty of time to bide. But after the great year he's had with Queensland and with the Storm, he could potentially cash in when he comes off contract in November.
There's games where you've watched him and you've just gone, and probably Origin 1 was one of them where you go, this guy's head and shoulders above everyone else. Yeah. Had a kid this year, been off the grog. Helps, I guess. But he's definitely had a very, very good year. It's going to be interesting. I suppose we keep talking about this until he does get, until the pen goes to the paper.
Yeah, Munster watched for a year.
Yeah.
The next 12 months, unfortunately.
Yeah, you worry about the spine, but as soon as if he signs, there's going to be so many players wanting to come across as well.
Yeah, that's right. Is there a magnetic factor around signing Cameron Munster? Luring. The positives and the negatives of magnets and whatnot. One end being rugby league players, the other end being Cameron Munster.
Yeah, I'll rescue you here. One of their guys, Edric Lee, of course, going to the Dolphins next year, scored in the first minute for the Knights. It's 10-all currently in that game.
In this week's Toilet Bowl. Thank you for the NRL scheduling this at 4 o'clock on a Sunday, Titans and Knights. Makes my, blockbuster Dragons win over the Tigers, seem a bit more formidable.
That's it.
Rugby, did you put this one in there? Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that guy?
What is rugby? Yeah, I did because I thought it was funny. And he did.
You like my corner? You like my corner?
Yeah, isn't too bad.
Not too bad. They're fucking stuck in mud. They're stuck in fucking mud.
Better than my Irish.
Hey, bit of Bucks chat. Anyways.
So there was a game of rugby during the week.
There were several.
There were several.
For
us, there was one game.
What's the championship they're playing at the moment?
The Rugby Championship is what it's called.
There you go. Great name there.
Yeah, not bad. You should see the website. For a bunch of privately educated, millionaire types, you'd think they'd be able to, pay a little bit of money to get
for some marketing.
Yeah, for some marketing for one, but for a really functional website. The website is fucking horrendous for one, but for two, good turnout yesterday at the Adelaide Oval. Yeah. So not traditional rugby land down there in SA, but good turnout to see the Wallabies defeat the Springboks.
No AFL in Adelaide anymore, so maybe.
You think tactical that time? Oh, look at this. There's a big hole in
no sport at the moment.
In the middle of South Australia. It's called Adelaide. No, sorry. there's a big hole in the scheduling here, and the fine people of Adelaide want something to do on their Saturday night. You know, it's 5 o'clock. They can't go to Woolies. They need something to do. Let's go to the rugby, and they got a great turnout. And Australia turned it on. The Wallabies looking not too bad. I think Marika Korobiti, ex-leaguey, found the. What do they call it there? Try line, I guess.
I think he saved a try as well.
Yeah, I think from the 2 minutes that I saw on KO this morning, I think he had a pretty good crack at the salve. But across the Dutch earlier on in the night, the All Blacks, they're in capitulation, bro. The Pumas, Argentina, they beat them 25-18.
Is that again?
No, first time.
first
So
time
because
was,
they beat us. They beat us in Argentina.
okay.
Remember, you had suggested
The Latinas, yes.
perhaps
we've been there.
facetiously that the boys had been out maybe the night before, a little bit of samba,
Yeah.
or is it tango? Maybe it's tango. Anyways, complete allegations there, but we will make one allegation, is that Argentina are looking pretty good. They're on top of the rugby championship table halfway through, and New Zealand are in all sorts. They've lost 6 of their last 8 games. Their coach Ian Foster is under pressure, and Michael Chaker is the Pumas coach of former Wallabies coach fame. Halfway through, it means it's somewhat interesting for the casuals, of which we are. It means it's interesting for fans of world rugby in that, you know, end of an era, dynasty kind of chat leading into a World Cup. These guys, the unbeatable All Blacks, no, it seems like, you know, Ireland's done it, Argentina's done it, South Africa's done it.
South Africa, yeah.
So there's a few teams that have done it this year. Will Australia be able to do it over there? We've got a shocking record as it has been in recent memory, but it's going to be interesting to see, at least as casuals, to see how this rugby championship plays out. But halfway through, Argentina sit on top of that.
Yep.
Should we talk some AFL?
Yeah.
Do you want to finish off the cricket?
Oh, yeah, Australia won.
Australia won. No curses. Maxwell
Maxwell wanted to get to the
went
pub.
bang, bang, bang. He's at the pub now.
32 off 9.
32 off 9. He really wanted to go to the pub. The big show. He's good to watch, man. Like, you just sees him like beach balls. He's in some pretty good form as well at the moment.
Yep.
I really hope, as an Aussie cricket fan, that the T20 World Cup, he just shines and plays to his potential, because when he's on, he's one of the most dominant hitters in the world.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you mentioned it. He went back-to-back sixes to finish it.
Boom, boom. 6, pub,
Yep.
etc.
Enough said.
So last week, Sean already mentioned Carlton lost. All right, next bit. That's AFL done. Okay, so it kind of the big day, I suppose, last week was the Sunday.
Yep.
In the AFL.
That was the big stories.
Yeah, the Bulldogs, they beat the Hawks, which meant Carlton had to win. Sloppy first half, excellent third quarter, and then
They kicked, 8 goals straight.
between this middle of the second and the end of the third.
Yep. Got a 25-point lead. But as they've done...
0 goals, 6 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, as they've done quite regularly, unfortunately for Carlton fans, is have a bit of a fade in the fourth quarters.
Capitulation.
Yeah, and, end of the season, etc. They don't finish strong, unfortunately.
No.
They go a little bit limp.
Nope. But 9th is better than Spoon, I suppose, which has been pretty recurrent in the last 10 years. But disappointing. There's not too many Carlton fans that 6 weeks ago would have taken 9th. That's for sure. In fact, when I say not many, I say 0.
Yeah, they would have taken 8th. Got in there. I think they would have probably played the Lions, if correct, and would have gone together.
Although it would have changed.
I've already changed it for you because they wouldn't play Dockers like the Bulldogs are. I think it was they switched there.
I think you've got it.
So I think it was.
It would have been Brisbane at the Gabba, which again is no easy task. But at least
I think Brisbane fans probably would have preferred that.
They would have been there.
What they've gotten.
Possibly.
So
possibly.
But lose by a point.
The Pies are the king of the close win. We were tracking it. With this massive winning streak. How many have been single digits and. They've got the closest of close.
And when they finish? They finished.
They finished. They jump into the fourth because they'll play Geelong. They'll play Geelong. So must win for them. Must win for them. Someone
big football match.
I think someone said to me this week, "Well, why don't they just let Carlton win? Let them get in the 8
because they fucking hate them.
They hate them. There's 80,000 in the G. There's a top 4 finish on on the line. That's probably the reasons. Anyways,
there was plenty of fights as well on the post match as well in the G. Fans not happy with each other, which is kind of, I guess, to be expected in that fan base.
Yep.
But
Proper hatred.
Yes, yeah. So the Dogs, on the flip side of that, they sneak in after beating the Hawks. Do we see them doing anything against the Dockers?
No, which leads us into our finals preview. Should we do that in order? Monks, if you wouldn't mind bringing up the odds. Obviously, we've had a week off Aussie rules footy. We will talk awards in just 1 second, but as we rarely do these days on the Esky, give tips and odds. We've been to a Sunday.
We don't get much lead in, but we get a lead into this one.
That's right, we get a lead in here. Thursday night, Brisbane Lions take on the Richmond Tigers. Gabba, bogey game. Sound the alarm. And Jesus,
Tigers have been hot lately.
And the odds reflected. Obviously, the Tigers have broken Lions fans' hearts in the past, in prelim finals, in qualifying finals. And I'm surprised. No, I'm not surprised by these odds, but Richmond a little bit shorter than what I was expecting. Monks, if you wouldn't mind.
I've got to remember how to do this. No, head-to-head.
Read what's on the screen.
There's letters and numbers on the screen. They need to go through your eyes. The
ones I can still see.
The signal needs to go to the brain. That needs to send a signal back, which needs to come out the mouth, and you put it into the microphone. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do that.
Yeah. We struggle week to week. So I don't know how
week to week, hour to hour, minute to minute. Every time I open my mouth. So Tigers are favourites at $1.75. Brisbane are underdogs at $2.10 there.
Great work. Spat it out beautifully.
Yeah.
That's too short for mine. Richmond, all the momentum, yes, going in their way. But to go up there, it's always hard. Brisbane, it is a little bit of a fortress. The Gabba hasn't been in sudden death games.
Well, it isn't
recently.
For the Tigers. They've won 12.
Yeah, they're fine up there.
Of their last 12 matches there, they've only lost 2.
Okay.
Brisbane have been pretty poor in big games as well. They lose the big games.
That's the elephant in the room.
Yeah, and then the fact Dusty's been back at training.
Elephant noise.
Yeah.
I thought you were going for that AFL noise siren.
Yeah, it's half siren, half elephant. Anyway.
Don't know where that came from. Anyways, the elephant trunk noises. That one's gone to the bin. Let's talk Dusty Martin.
Has been back at training. There's vision of him training back there. So
coming back from hamstring.
Sounds like he'll play in the finals.
Yep.
And I guess this being an elimination finals, it makes sense that they'll stick him straight back in. And if that's the case, that's Dusty led Tigers after the way they've been playing. Brisbane. Historically bad against the Tigers and don't win big football matches, I would pick the Tigers in this one.
Ooh, traitor.
For the Judas here, yeah.
Absolute Judas, and I'm going to go with you. I think the Tigers have the momentum. I think they've shown time and time again that they're built for big games. Had this been a completely different situation and the Tigers hadn't been stringing wins together and knocking off reasonable teams, you might look at this in a different light. But I think all the momentum suggests that Richmond maybe do knock off Brisbane again. Having said that, I'm tipping the Tigers. I want the Lions to win. I want this group to recognise that they are talented and that they can do it, in elimination games and end the hoodoo, if you will.
Yeah, well, there's been chat this week that maybe Fags and that coaching staff isn't the group to push them over the edge. Like, there's been questions brought into the what's the consistent factor throughout all this? Well, the coaching staff. So whether they need to go out and get a champion coach with experience winning it all to come in and push them over the edge. I think they need the player version of that.
I agree 100%. I think that would be completely unjust on Chris Fagan and what he's done bringing that club. But you have to remember 5 years ago, there was a basket case club.
Yeah, so I think the rebuilding.
Let's go 7 maybe.
Yeah, the rebuilding is being completed, but to win a championship, maybe is that too far for Fags? I think the more worrying sign is that conversation is starting to happen. Less than, he'd probably be right this year, and they'll have to see what they can do in the off season to add to that roster. to the list. But yeah, that concerns that that's maybe some of the conversation that's happening in the background.
Well, what quashes that conversation is a win on Thursday night.
Yeah, you got to go deep into the finals and play well. Like, don't get pumped by 100. You got to.
No, that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen.
Happened to the D's only a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, they got to go out there and play close, strong footy, not lose their way and completely fall apart and get absolutely pumped. You got to be competitive in these big games.
What is the line? Fuck all.
Yeah, so lines are 3.5
Yeah.
and total game points is 176.5.
Interesting. Probably too early to make comments on those. Be interesting to see when teams are out, weather, etc., etc. As a neutral, just probably want to see a good elimination, close elimination final to kick off the first week of the finals. Friday, there's a really interesting game in the Melbourne Demons taking on the Swans in the first qualifying final. This is at the G. The Swans did beat the Ds back in round 12 by 12 points. The Swans obviously relying on the changing of the guard talent, the Logan McDonalds, the Chad Warners, and the like coming through. Callum Mills was named as an All-Australian during the week, going up against the defending champs who have been, I suppose, hot and cold, in recent games, just getting over the Blues a couple of weeks ago, dismantling the Lions, losing to the Pies, losing to Geelong, halfway through the year that they were undefeated and everyone thought it was who can beat Melbourne this year. But I think there's a lot of people that think probably the Swans can get the job done, and it'll be interesting to see what the odds say here. Melbourne will obviously start as favourites, but it's not super one-sided in these odds, is it, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think the D's have been better in the last couple of weeks. They feel healthier to me.
Yep.
Swans, though, for me, are still the dark horse in these finals. They've a young list with a few veterans there that have played big games before. They're kind of right where they need to be. We said last year that's probably not going to be their year. This year, maybe that's opening, but we'll have to see how they progress, how they go. D's for me, but I think this is going to be a very close, good contest.
So I suppose the odds do sort of reflect Sydney's hot streak they've been on late towards the end of the season. But the D's are favourites, $1.47. The Swans are out at $2.68 at the moment. We have a line of 13.5 total points, 161.5.
We posed the question a few weeks ago, maybe call it a couple of months ago. Are the Swans too reliant on Buddy Franklin? It was kind of sparked by I think a Kane Corns comment, which suggested that. And he most likely gets the All-Australian fullback here in Stephen May. If May is able to shut down Buddy Franklin, where do they kick their goals? Is they're going to be heavily reliant on their smalls in Papley and Heaney? Can Logan McDonald rise to the occasion? It's a lot of pressure for a 19, 20-year-old kid. I'll go the Melbourne Demons. I think at the MCG, I think they've shown, obviously last year, breaking the drought and that they can do it in these big games. And I just think that the top of their list in the Gawns and the Petrarcas and the Clary Olivers are just too good. And I think that midfield battle, I think the Demons have the clear advantage. That they should be able to give their forwards first usage. And I think they win this game. Although, again, don't have a dog in the fight. Want to see a good close game.
This is not an elimination.
Qualifying, yep.
Qualifying.
So second chance for the losers and straight through to the prelim for the winner.
If I'm the Swans and if I'm in that coaching staff, I'm thinking this is a great measuring stick. Even if we do lose,
exactly.
we do want to be really competitive in this.
Yep.
And probably use that momentum. Then it's like, hey, we lost by a point kind of thing. It's like we can compete with these guys. We can potentially beat them. Use that momentum to then go through the rest of the finals. That's kind of what you're after, especially. You're not trying to lose, of course, but if you do, you want to take something out of that experience, that learning, and you do learn a lot from losing. So
you win or you learn. That's what I've heard, and I've learnt a lot in my sporting career. Don't you worry about that. Then we've got Saturday doubleheader. Interesting that they went this Saturday Arvo into Saturday night game rather than having a Sunday finals. Generally the way that they do go. This is a massive one. The first place Geelong Cats take on the Collingwood Magpies. This will be at the G. It's not at GMHBA Stadium. Obviously, they want to get as many people in there as possible.
Oh, yeah. Big game.
Big game. They'll have 90,000 in there. The Cats did get the bickies over the Collingwood Magpies way back in round 3, but I don't think we can maybe take that. Well, I think maybe take that with a grain of salt, considering that the Pies are on a 12-game heater now, or 11-game heater.
Yeah, it's still a great contest. Like, it was still close. Like, it was still a good football match. So potentially, I can't think of it off the top of my head whether they can follow through with this. But we've talked about grand final preview. This was the match probably leading into that. Seeing these two go together, they've been really, really good. So I think potentially that's the one. We'll have to go the hard way, but potentially they could do that. Come back around. They're two of the better squads.
You reckon this is the grand final preview?
Could be.
Yeah, I don't think that's a stretch. I think the Melbourne Demons, the Sydney Swans, probably will have something to say about that. Yep. I don't know if any of these, fifth through 8 teams can. Maybe Richmond, probably they've been there, done that. That's probably the biggest one. Yep. Obviously, there's going to be question marks around Freo being able to win in Victoria. But yeah, I think that's a reasonable statement to make that this may be a grand final preview. And the Pies, have had this incredible run where they've just been able to win footy games. Mm-hmm. And in finals footy, what have you got? You just have to fucking win. It doesn't matter if it's by a point. It doesn't matter if it's by 100. And that's what the Pies have been able to do. They've just been able to win. So
did they rule out Grundy for the year?
Yeah, Grundy's done. Yeah, Grundy's done. So he was expected to come back sort of like last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. They shut him down. Yeah, I do remember that. Yep. And obviously they haven't really missed that much. Darcy Cameron and Mason Cox doing a good job rotating through the middle there. For the Cats, they're the minor premiers. Mm-hmm. They're not expected to lose this game according to the bookies. If they lose this game and have to go the hard way, I think that plays a massive toll on their belief moving forward.
Plus, big time veteran squad as well.
Everyone's there. They're retirement village. They're old. Blah blah blah.
But if you can play less minutes, you probably prefer that. Definitely for that squad that they've got there. So.
And I'm gonna back them in. I'm gonna go with the Geelong Cats to end this Pies losing streak. Is it because I'm a Crussy Carlton fan? Anyway. Winning streak. Hand them the start of their losing streak. Their 2 losses and getting fucking into Mad Monday. Front of it, maybe another Freudian slip there. Maybe just what I want to play out in my head. But I think Geelong do have that experience. I think they've been the best team all year. Mm-hmm. I think that they've been there and done that. In terms of playing finals footy, a lot of prelims obviously from this group. So maybe that will be the big finals
as well. So.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. A fair few of this Collingwood group were in that 2018 grand final as well. But I'll go with the Geelong Cats, and I think the bookies agree. Monks, if you wouldn't mind the odds.
Yep. Yeah. So Geelong are favourite, $1.42. Collingwood's out at $2.88. We'd have a line of 16.5 and total game points of 163.5.
Yeah, I think that's selling Collingwood a little bit short.
I agree 100%. If you're like a little bit of a punty lala, $2.88 for a team that's won 11 in a row, it's pretty juicy right there. And whilst it's a home game, inverted commas, for the Geelong Cats, it's at the G. Collingwood's been able to get the job done at the G. If you wanted to have a little sniff at $2.88, I think that's a lot of value. Boys, what do we think? Odds aside, who do we think wins this game?
Geelong.
Yeah.
You do look at Collingwood's run home, and Melbourne is really the only one there of any notice.
Yeah. You think?
Well, they lost to Sydney. They've got.
I forgot about. I was keep saying they're on a win streak. I forgot that Sydney broke that.
Yep.
Sorry. So they're 11 from 12.
Outside of that, they've gone up against Essendon, Adelaide, the Crows, North Melbourne, Suns, GWS.
Beat Melbourne.
So they beat Melbourne twice in that run, but it's probably not the strongest run.
Yep.
So
completely valid point.
Yeah, can't go past Geelong. So see if they can get to the big dance again.
Screamed Esky cursed. Right? Screams. The Froggett is also cursed. 8-10, the Freo Dockers, the flag medal chat has to start here with an elimination final at Optus Stadium against the skin of their teeth Western Bulldogs, the shit on the Carlton Parade Western Bulldogs, the reasonably priced Western Bulldogs here. The Dockers playing group, young. No one really thought that at the start of the year they would be finishing fifth. We've seen obviously Brayshaw come along, leaps and bounds. Michael Frederick's been exciting up front. We always talk about Sean Darcy now as being needs to be a tier 1 ruckman, needs to be recognised as a tier 1 ruckman. Do they get the job done here at home? Bulldogs snuck in by the skin of their dick. I think Freo get the job done here. Amongst the odds, please, and your thoughts.
Yeah. I suppose, again, sort of going throughout the year, testament to the AFL, how close of a competition it was. Freo, where they were sitting probably a month or two ago, to where they're sitting now, and then Bulldogs, obviously, as you mentioned, scraping in. Great competition. But, yeah, that being said, Dockers are favourites, $1.49 over at Optus Stadium, with the Dogs sitting at $2.63. We have a line of 13.5 and total match points of 160.5.
I think the Dockers there at home should get the job done, but for whatever reason, I just feel like the Bulldogs, of all those games, that's the one where they could shock them. They've got a very talented roster. They've played probably unders the whole year, and if they flip that switch, get it into gear, they can definitely beat a lot of those squads. So
that's the word there. They have played under their potential all year. Marcus Bontempelli, great player. Hasn't quite been Marcus Bontempelli this year. You know, Jack McRae, Josh Dunkley, Tim English has been really improved, and moving forward, Aaron Norton's been really improved. But that
midfield as well.
That midfield is stacked, and they go up against a young midfield in Darcy, Sarong, and Brayshaw. There's no reason why they can't go out there. They've got the finals experience. Half of these guys have won a flag.
Yep. And that was only a couple of years ago.
And 80% of them, 90% of them have been to a big dance. The year that they won the flag, 2016, they did it from 7th. This could be a bit of a trap game, out of all of them, especially if you know, for the punters at $1.49. Freo maybe a little bit too short. I'm going to back in the young team. I'm going to back in the form and the improvement and the cohesion that playing group's shown. And 60,000 people at Optus Stadium, 58,000 of them wearing deep purple. I think that's going to be the differentiating factor.
Yeah, well, I'm going to shout out Macca and back the doggies in.
Oh, hot dogs! We need it. We can't just all agree with each other. You know, it's not just a big fucking double Dutch rudder over here. You know? We need a little bit of disagreement. I like it. Like I said, trap game. I'll go Freo, but I like what you've gone there. Have the finals experience. Have these superstar players, especially through that midfield. No reason why the Dogs can't come out on top.
All good rosters, all good squads going in the finals there. So yeah, good final series incoming.
And just quick one. Don't have to give it too much thought. Obviously, it is off the top of the dome here, but the whole thing. Who have we got?
I think I said it, Geelong Pies, probably with a Geelong win maybe.
Yep.
We'll have to see. Maybe the Pies go in the hard way. They learn a bit and come out and win that. But I think Geelong, you can't go past them at the moment.
I'm going to agree.
Otherwise, D's a repeat.
Yep. I'll go Geelong. Best team all year. Theirs to lose.
Yep. Put the curse on them with Geelong.
Triple. It's pretty close out there for the outrights from our unofficial sponsors at Sportsbet. Still waiting for the phone to ring back. Thank you.
That's it.
What do we got there, Max?
Yeah, so unofficial sponsors have pretty much said F you, Sean. Collingwood's $10 there to...
That's true. That's juicy, man.
Juicy.
That is juicy.
But yeah, starting at the top, Geelong's $3. The D's are $3.25 with this one sitting at $6.
Into Collingwood 10. What do you get for Richmond? 12s?
12s. Yep.
into 18 for Freo, 26 Brisbane, 31 Bulldogs. Interesting how Richmond ahead of Brisbane there, despite the home ground advantage for the Lions this week. Massive week coming up. Finals footy.
Yeah.
Two teams will pack it in for the year and plan their off-season, and we'll get a bit more of a picture as to leading into that game. We'll have two preliminary finals to talk about next Sunday. Mm-hmm. Just a quick, two blokes that retired in the last 2 weeks since our last pod of note. Robbie Gray of Port Adelaide fame, 34 years of age, 271 games, 364 goals, 3 times John Cahill medalist. That's for Port Adelaide's best and fairest, and 4 times All-Australian. He finished in a showdown. Port win big. He kicked 2. Obviously, a disappointing season from Port Adelaide. Most people had them in their top 8s come the start of the year. Start 0-5 makes it pretty fucking hard. But he is a Port Adelaide legend and a highly decorated career. Obviously, didn't get the thing that probably everyone wants on their accolades list in being a premiership winner. But obviously did all his best and will go down as a Port Adelaide legend moving forward. The other big retirement, Shane Edwards, he's got 3 of those premiership rings in his trophy room. 33 years of age, 302 games, 189 goals. This is a retirement pending. Obviously, he will be trying, I believe, to line up for the Tigers on Thursday night. He was a Jack Titus medalist for Richmond's best and fairest and a 2016 All-Australian. There a lot of retirements this year, hasn't there? I wish I screenshotted it. I saw the retirement 22 from this year, and it was fire.
Yeah,
like you got these 2 in there. You've got both Josh Kennedys. You got big boy Ben McAvoy in the ruck. Like there was a lot of guys that are calling it a year that will be sorely missed, and a wealth of AFL experience going this year. Yeah, we've got so that's club by club. Retirements. Jordan Roughhead would be in that team. McDonald, Tippin Woody. Michael Hurley, a couple of weeks ago. We didn't cover it, so may as well speak about him. He retired. He kicked a goal. Everyone got the fuck around him. Even a few of the Richmond players said, "Well done, Mick Hurley." Tom Lynch from North Melbourne obviously played out most of his career as an Adelaide Crow. Kicked 8 goals in a game once. He's calling it a day. And Richmond, probably a bit of a changing of the guard there. Shane Edwards we just spoke about. Josh Caddy and Kane Lambert we've spoken about in other episodes. It'd be a pretty handy side. St Kilda actually. Massive. Jaron Geary, Dan Hannonbury, and Paddy Ryder. Did you guys see Footy on 9, I think, did a Paddy Ryder retirement post, and the picture was of a player that was not Paddy Ryder. It was Bobby Hill. And I think they did it at the All-Australians, which is a good little segue into it, with Connor Rosé making the side, and they...
is this GWS picture?
Yeah, it wasn't Connor Rosé.
Oh, it wasn't even him. Okay.
A few Kelly Underwood memes getting around. It's the guy from the Orange team, etc., etc. Marks, could you please get on our screen the 2022 All-Australian team? Mostly went to script. We'll talk about a few snubbings in a second. Tom Stewart, Geelong Cats, despite being out for 4 weeks, out suspended for 4 weeks, makes this list that may have been a little bit of a point of contention. Stephen May, Jack Sinclair, Sam Taylor. I think most people had them in this team. Braden Maynard comes through, and Adam Sard, comes through. That's your back 6. Took Miller, Clayton Oliver, Callum Mills, Max Gawn, Patrick Cripps, vice captain Lockie Neal, and then the forward line of Christian Petrarca, Jeremy Cameron, Shea Bolton, Charlie Curnow, Tom Hawkins, Tyson Stengel. So 3 Geelong Cats in the forward line there. Interchange of Mark Blitzavs, Andrew Brayshaw, Isaac Heaney, and Connor Rozee of the Orange Team fame / not actually from the Orange Team. Okay, points of contention, snubs. James Sicily, I saw a stat this week, was pretty much the leader in every single defensive stat there is.
Yep.
Misses out. The whole thing around Tom Stewart should they have taken into account that he missed 4 games? It was through suspension. It's not like a Brownlow medal. You know, if you can't win the Brownlow medal for being best and fairest, if you get suspended, you can be an All-Australian. There was some contention around that. There also was maybe Braden Maynard makes this list over James Sicily. Do they take into account team success? You know, Sicily, good backman. Hawthorn didn't do a lot this year.
Yeah.
Same argument could be made for Rory Laird. You know, Adelaide Crows. What was he there? Top fantasy point leader. If that's anything to go by, 120 fantasy points a game for Rory Laird, 8 more than Andrew Brayshaw. Pretty crazy for Laird to miss out. Maybe a bit of a snubbing there. If you wouldn't mind just scrolling up amongst and looking at that midfield though.
Do they have
where does Laird fit in?
Yeah.
Like
that midfield is
it's fire.
Yeah,
it's fire. Maybe for Mills. Maybe for Mills.
Yeah. As a Bombers fan, you could say the same argument for Parrish as well. Like I know he's been injured a fair bit, but he still had 31 odd disposals through the season.
Yeah, did he play? How many
he
games
just didn't play enough, and he played for Essendon. So is that chat like
that is fair chat.
On the sash.
I don't know. It's is it overall individual stats for the season, or how much does the talent play into it as well? Do they have an unreal year though? The statistics may be down a little bit. I think overall the list is pretty good.
It's fire.
It's still an excellent list.
It is fire. There are a few little head scratches, and then Connor Rozee. You don't want to shit on a bloke. He's a young kid. He's an excellent player. Was he realistically in the best 22 players in the league this year? For mine, probably not. And that's not knocking a guy like Connor Rozee. I just think there's a few of the guys that were aforementioned. The other big snubbing, I suppose, was Tom Lynch.
Can you just scroll up a little bit, please?
Richmond full forward misses out. And is it dynamics? They pick 3 talls. So who do you scrap? The captain, Tom Hawkins, perhaps for Tom Lynch. How does the captaincy even work in these things? It's all kind of there's so much that gets left to the imagination with the All-Australian team because they don't play anyone. It's an accolade. You get the blazer. Get your photo taken. Yada yada. Yeah. Tom Hawkins doesn't captain his side. Max Gawn was the captain last year of the All-Australian team. Is named again this year, but isn't the captain.
Yeah.
How does it work? Do they like to share the load?
Right.
Frodo Baggins, share the load. Is that the way that it goes? Joel Selwood captained the All-Australian team 3 times. Otherwise, it's kind of been a revolving door for the captain. Is it kind of just a nod to a player that's had a long career and
veteran leadership,
exemplary service?
To me, that's why they probably picked Hawkins this year, just to follow that rotation and veteran leadership in that group.
But it is head scratching. It is head scratching in a few instances. We've got a list there. Other maybe snubs. Charlie Cameron was very, very good. Maybe the direct comparison is Tyson Stengel for Charlie Cameron or Shea Bolton, and some people are really, really high on Shea Bolton.
He had a great year. Filling the shoes of Dusty.
I'm okay with Stengel and Shea Bolton being your crummers in that team, and Sammy Walsh, probably misses out like Laird to the likes of Callum Mills, who had a stellar season.
I was trying to look at that list. Did any of the final teams not have someone in the All-Australian? Because I think
that's a great question.
Because I think
Geelong,
one pie.
We've got Collingwood. We've got Melbourne. We've got. Sydney, we've got in Mills.
You got one for Mills?
No, Heaney.
On Heaney,
2.
One for the Lions.
One for the Lions. Freo have Brayshaw.
One for the Brayshaw on the bench.
Richmond have Bolton. And
Any
the
Bulldogs?
Bulldogs. There you go. That's one.
Yeah.
So no Bulldogs in that team. Bontempelli missing out. He was in the All Australians last year. I think
We talked about they played under
3 times. So that's
probably a good reflection. That they're not.
reasonable reflection.
But yeah, it's interesting that a couple of those only with one, like Pies only.
3 Carlton players in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, congratulations to the blokes that got to don that All Australian blazer. Looking very flash. Tom Hawkins, the captain. I think Max Gawn getting his 6th All Australian nod, and a little bit of a changing of the guard as well. We've spoken about lots of retirements. We've spoken about changing at the guards, old to young lists. At a lot of clubs, and this All-Australian team features 12 debutants, 12 guys in there for the first time. So it's a little bit of a theme, I suppose, amongst the league at present. Monks, if you wouldn't mind, speaking of the young blokes coming through, the 22 under 22 list got named as well. Wednesday night, we had a squad of 40 that got named a couple of weeks ago. They named their 22 under 22. We'll just quickly cover this. From the back line, Hayden Young, Fremantle, Sam De Koning, Geelong. We gave him a few raps a couple of weeks ago. Shut down some of the best full forwards in the AFL this year. I don't think he's had more than 2 goals kicked on him in a game this year for a bloke that's 20 years old. That's pretty bloody impressive. Nick Blakey, Sydney Swans. Nick Dacos, he's going to be an absolute star. Will shit in the Rising Star award for this year. Pretty rare for a 19-year-old kid to be getting 30 consistently from a half back. Tom McCartan.
Do you think this list, do you think he was maybe should have been considered in the All-Australian a little bit as well?
No, I don't think he's an All-Australian. No.
Not yet.
Not yet. He will be.
Yeah.
He will be. He will be. There is an All-Australian in. There's a couple in.
There's a couple in
here. No, I don't.
I was just looking at this for those that missed out.
I don't think he got snubbed. So as a ball running halfback, guys in the All-Australian team were Sard on one and Sinclair on the other. No, I don't think Dacos had better seasons than those 2 blokes, although he had a stellar year. And then Jordan Clark, Freo. So we talk about Freo and that young list. You will see that come through in this 22 under 22. Noah Anderson, Gold Coast Suns. Andrew Brayshaw, Fremantle, captain. May go close to winning the Brownlow. I don't think he gets it, but he may go close this year. And Adam Chera, former Freo player, impressed in his first year back in Melbourne for Carlton. Half forward, Connor Rozee, we spoke about him making that All-Australian team. Aaron Norton, hard to believe that he's still under 22. And Jack Ginnivan, the most polarising man possibly in the league this year, with his bleached blonde hair and, some people say he's a diver, some people say people are hitting him high. He makes this team, and deservedly so. Cozzy Pickett, of breaking Carlton fans' hearts and also excellent goal sneak. Max King, St Kilda. Isaac Rankin, Gold Coast Suns. Followers, Luke Jackson, Sam Walsh, vice-captain. Bailey Smith, hard also to believe that Paslenka and Walshy are still under 22.
Yeah.
And then the bench is Chad Warner, Caleb Sarong, Isaac Quainer, and Keaton Coleman. Boys, the AFL is looking exciting moving forward. That's a few All-Australians already on that list.
Yeah, Jimmy, can you have a look at the Brownlow odds? Who won the Coleman?
Charlie Curnow. Charlie Curnow just held off Tom Lynch. He got awarded, I should say, the Coleman medal. That's a few years in a row that a Carlton man, with Big Harry Mackay getting it last year, getting the Coleman and not playing finals footy. It's a little bit disappointing. Yeah. As Carlton fans.
Can you scroll that list? I can see Lockie Neal at 3. Scroll down. Is there any others?
No, Lockie Neal's
$3 for Brownlow. Clayton Oliver 4s. Brayshaw's at 6. Cripps at 6. Took Miller 8s. Petrarca at 8s. And then it blows out pretty drastically, going to Sammy Walsh at 34s and Callum Mills at 51 on that list. So what's that? Is that a 5-man race, we're thinking, between Oliver, Neal, Cripps, Brayshaw, Miller, Petrarca, 6-man race.
Yep.
Before it really blows out to some smokies.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting. We'll have to watch that. That's upcoming.
That'll be in a few Mondays' time. As well, a bit of good news for fan of the women's game. So they had it's actually 2 seasons this year. So they had the AFLW season finish up at the start of the year, and they want it to be more in this time frame. It's very, very hot at the start of the year. It's quite taxing on the girls, and they're going to have a longer season because all 18 clubs now have a women's team. So there was 14 in the women's comp last year. There's 18 now. Good to see each club with a women's team and trying to continue the growth of the game amongst the girls.
Alrighty.
EPL.
Round ball.
So,
racing back on.
United beat Liverpool last week 2-1. You guys see the pre-game shit? It was pretty close to like riot police out there. United fans not very happy with the Glazer owners, etc., etc. Piers Morgan of Brett Lee's shit, I'd be able to face him fame, said that Cristiano Ronaldo getting benched for Anthony Elanga is a crime, and it just shows where United is at, yada, yada, yada. They go out and beat Liverpool. Goals to Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford. And then people think, oh, geez, should we be worried about Liverpool? They put 9 past Brentford overnight. Pretty handy.
Bournemouth. Yeah, you can't read it. It's all right.
Bournemouth.
Yep.
Bournemouth. Did I say Brentford?
Yes.
Yep.
My mistake. Brentford had a 1-1 draw with Everton.
Yep.
Poor Bournemouth. I think they've conceded 16 in the last 3 weeks. They did play City, Arsenal, Liverpool. So, yeah.
I assume they're at the bottom.
As you will. No, they won week 1.
Oh.
They won week 1. So they're not on the bottom, but their goal difference rather is not looking the best. Palace, they scored the first 2 at the Etihad. Would have been pretty happy with themselves at half-time. The big Viking, the big signing from Borussia Dortmund, Erling Haaland, he had a second half hattie for Man City, putting 4 in. The City put 4 in the second half. They win that. And Arsenal a little bit lucky, perhaps, to get past Fulham. 2-1. They did have the bulk of the possession, but kind of relied on a deflection and a kind of scrappy 86th minute goal to get past Fulham there. Mind you, they're top of the table. They're 4 from 4. And that table is still pending a few overnight games. We've got Villa to play West Ham, Wolves, Newcastle, not Forest, play Tottenham moving forward. Boys, any kind of interest in the EPL? Any questions, queries?
It's good to see Leeds have moved up a little bit with all their money.
Apparently Leeds are...
And Newcastle as well. So.
Leeds are massively popular in the US. So, yeah, big Leeds following over there in the US. They're starting to get some TV deals and that around Leeds United. Obviously, early days. 34 games ahead of us.
Yeah. But it's good to see Nottingham Forest there at 12. Then I looked at who was in dead last at the moment, the Hammers.
After their good year last year.
Yeah, well, they've had a couple of good years.
Yep.
Trying to fight in to get into a Champions League spot in the 4th place and finishing, I think, 5th and 6th the last 2 years. Now being dead last currently, but they do play coming up.
Champions League draw got announced actually this week, now that you mention it. Classic jokes. Where's Arsenal? Where's Man United? Suck me off. I might just go through them quickly.
Starting mid-September.
Cookies.
You had the list in there.
Fuck you, cookies. The only cookies I want from my computer is cookies and cream. Mike, I'm not doing your job here. Here we go.
You said we were bringing them up.
All right, Group A. Ajax. Of Laurie Daly calls them Ajax, spray and white. Liverpool, Napoli, Rangers. That's a tough group. That is a tough group. Group A. Group B, Porto, Atletico, Leverkusen, Bruges. Atletico probably strongest there. Group of death, Bayern, Barcelona, Inter, and good luck, Victoria Plzen.
Yes.
From Czech Republic there, I believe. Group D, Tottenham fans be happy with this. Frankfurt, Sporting from Portugal, and Marseille. So no real killers in that group, although no real numpties. Group E, Milan, Chelsea, Salzburg, and Dinamo Zagreb. Group F, Real Madrid, Red Bull, Leipzig, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Celtic. I don't know what they're going to do with Shakhtar and Ukraine and playing games there at present. I saw a little clickbaity thing this week about a club that had to or two teams that had to head to the locker rooms at about the 85th minute this week in the Ukraine because the stadium was getting bombed. Wow. So, yeah, pretty crazy scenes over there. I imagine Shaka and Champions League, they won't play those games in the Ukraine. I
probably
think.
played a little further west.
Yeah, indeed. Group G, Man City, Sevilla, Borussia Dortmund and Copenhagen. And Group H, also a bit of a group of death with PSG, Juventus and Benfica. And good luck to Haifa, the Israeli club there. Looking forward to Champions League kicking off in a couple of weeks. NBA. Let's talk some NBA. It's still off season, but KD is going to stay put with the Nets. What did you read about this?
Yeah, I think that's official after asking for the GM to be sacked, after asking for the coach to be sacked, asking to be traded. I think they've told him, you still have a 4-year deal with like $200 million on it. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'll shop. So, it looks like he's going to play with the Nets. Looks like Curry also, we knew he was staying. So it looks like they'll have those two. And then Ben Simmons hopefully be back, and that'll be their big three next season. So
that's a scary big three as a Nets fan in terms of ceiling and floor.
Yep.
Because if Ben Simmons decides he doesn't want to play and Kyrie thinks the earth's flat and he falls off the end of it and, and KD doesn't want to be traded and wants to be traded, and what message does that send to your teammates? I think Patty Mills is probably the most stable-headed person on this Nets roster. Yeah. It looks like a bit of a shit show, and we've seen before, we've seen it with the Lakers and bringing across all their superstar players, sometimes team cohesion and locker room. Dynamics is more important than superstar name basis. So it's going to be interesting how the Nets go. Yeah, they need to get that chemistry going. And look, as those guys as a big three, it's a pretty volatile big three, you'd think. LeBron re-signs for the Lakers, 2 years, $97 million. Not quite max deal, so I think
still good money for
it's like $5 million off. Throw someone a little bone, kind of like not quite Tom Brady, graciousness there from LeBron, but maybe someone gets a little bit extra on their contract. Thanks to LeBron not taking the fully.
Well, I don't know because whether that helps with then that trade there for Pat Bev. So Pat Beverly also joining the Lakers and famously has a feud there with Russell.
I think
Westbrook.
Pat Beverly has a feud with half of the NBA.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what their thinking is with that to get
again chemistry. Like if you're going to go after someone,
and especially because both him and Westbrook have gone at it in the media back and forth about each one's a bum and they they're salesmen. They're not actually that good. So to be that Lakers locker room could be anything this year, especially when they start if they're down and they're losing. Do they start throwing the chairs at each other kind of thing? Like it'll be interesting.
That'll be right. It's if we expect the leader of the free world, to go through primaries over there, and they'll like monkey shit, shit on each other and throw shit on each other, and Biden's a bum and Kamala this and bloody and then they get through, and you're the president and you're the VP. We have full support of each other. Yada yada yada. Anyways, we don't talk politics on this show. We talk about sport.
So Lakers could be anything next year. But they will be must-watch TV, I think is the main thing.
Indeed. That trade was for Taylor Horton-Tucker and Stanley Johnson. They will go to Utah. These James Harden pictures made a little bit of, Twitter noise, I suppose. He just looks trim. He looks like he's working hard.
Looks skinny. I mean, he's not fat Harden. Harden coming into the start of the season. So
different to past pre-seasons.
Yeah.
Seems like he's locked in. He took, a reduced deal to stay there with the 76ers. So let's see what that looks like.
Fear the beard, baby. Fear the beard. Some sad news for Chet Holmgren. He has done a Liz Frank in his right foot, the number two pick from the last draft for the OKC. He's going to miss his whole, or would have been his rookie year, that they've pretty much put a line through him. There were question marks around his, around his strength rather. He's quite a wiry 7-footer. Would he be able to handle?
He's to get on that Giannis diet and put on the slide. So.
That's right. Well, the upper body will be looking fine, I'm sure. Yeah. In the weight room this year, Chet obviously highly touted. Some people had him going number one. He was a second overall pick. Yep. There for the Thunder, so he's going to miss the whole year. It's going to be interesting to see how the Thunder play this. Yeah. Hopefully rehab him.
It's a bit disappointing for our lad.
For Josh Giddey, I probably was looking forward to playing a bit with Chet, but hopefully this is just a minor setback in a long career in the NBA. And Gary Harris of the Magic, one of their better players, he's done his meniscus. Now, this will depend on the severity. You can have low-grade meniscus tears, which they rehab without surgery. But this one looking more like the surgical route. Still about just under 2 months till opening night. Yep. He'd only miss the start of the season, but that does probably put a dampener in the Magic's campaign to start the year. Yeah, any news there? Is he having surgery, Gary Harris? It's hard. It's always hard to tell with the NBA because,
especially off-season.
Oh, dude, they'll just say status injured.
Yeah,
and you're like, can we get a joint? Can we get a body part? Yeah. Can we get it? Nope. Just
they do what we do. Lower leg. He's like,
lower limb. Injured body
below
part.
the torso.
Body part.
No, still undergoing further evaluation.
Okay. Yep. All right, boys. We've been waiting nearly 2 hours in. Let's talk some NFL. We're so close to the start of the NFL season. Let's smash through a bit of the bad news through the week, mate. I think Peter V'landys and the NRL and anyone that thinks we have some scandals in the NRL or whatever probably needs to have a look at this week in the NFL and just go, okay, well, it's pretty hard when you've got 3,500 players. A few of them are going to fuck up. The first story is an ex-player, Aqib Talib.
Yeah, the Talib brothers getting into a bit of trouble.
Yeah, a bit of trouble. This is a murder.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Talib.
Not on a football field.
Yes.
Well, kind of on a football.
Well, yes.
It wasn't a big tackle.
No. So they started a brawl. So essentially, I think words going in a youth football match, and then Talib's brother ended up shooting the head coach, I believe, of the football team, and he did pass away and lose his life, unfortunately.
And this was in front of so many people.
Yeah,
wasn't it? Kids. Yeah. He was the coach of the youth football team.
Yeah, the Talib brothers are well known having their own running-ins with discharging of weapons, unfortunately.
Discharging weapons.
Yeah,
snatching of chains.
Yeah, exactly. So Talib had been doing commentary and will have to definitely take a big back seat, I'd say, for a while. And his brother...
He was slated to do Thursday night football all year, wasn't he? Yep. So that's a big contract that he's going to have to step back from.
So dumb in that regards to, kind of push it to get to this space. But then also his brother resorting to what he did is very, very silly.
He'll be facing a long time in jail, and so he should. You can't justify pulling a gun out
over a sports game,
over a few words,
of a youth sports game as well,
in front of kids, over a few words. This is a shocking story. It's very America, and I hate to say that, but it's just this kind of shit doesn't really surprise you that much anymore, does it? Just think of the coach's family and everyone close to him, and it's tragic. It's dumb. It's really stupid, and Yaqub Talib should face some hefty time in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Donald, likely to go number 1 overall in the NFL top 100 list, which we'll get into in a second. But he channeled his inner Myles Garrett with a fight in the joint practice with Cincinnati. Was it this week?
Correct. Yeah, stole a helmet and then decided to beat the Bengals player with it. So got a few shots off. But there had been talk about suspension for him. But since it's not within a game, it's a joint practice, it's between the clubs. So it's solely on, say, the Rams to suspend him at all, which they're not going to do.
Yeah. We'll suspend out the best player in the league. You can see the helmet getting thrown there. Yeah. That's Aaron Donald with the other bloke's helmet.
Yeah, and trying to smack him with it.
That's not a good look.
Well, there's been plenty, and people do. They go back through his history, and there's plenty of him grabbing face masks and throats and things like that. That's a little bit of in Donald's game, unfortunately, but some good photos. So there's a photo of him holding 2 Bengals helmets, and they've edited the Jon Snow one on it. So that's the picture, and he's got 2 helmets. He's got one in each hand, and Jon Snow facing up against the Tide coming in to get him.
Is this Game of Thrones chat?
Yeah, Game of Thrones chat.
Haven't seen.
I was a bit confused where you're going with that for a second.
Twitter memes, they're good. But yeah, it'll end up being nothing. But it was a terrible vision of potentially the best player in the NFL resorting to hitting a guy with a helmet.
With someone else's helmet, yeah.
Adam Scheffner, they asked him what this was, and he said assault. So, potentially that's
from
where you could
Schefter.
go. Yeah,
Shifty Schefter.
If you really want to, you could potentially go that way. But I like I said, I doubt anything.
This is assault. This is Hasbulla putting one on Shaq's chin. Boom, booyaka. Interesting there that it's all going to be handled internally. That's very sweeping under of rugs.
Big time under the rug.
You'd imagine there.
Yeah.
The Rams do play the Cincinnati Bengals in Friday week in the opening game on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, and why they thought doing a joint practice was a good idea is probably the big question that should have been asked here.
See, there's obviously not going to be any love lost in a few weeks' time. Probably adds into the theatre, maybe.
Oh, definitely.
Of the lead up into the season. Now, another shit story, but we'll cover it quickly. Matt Araza, aka the punt god, the rookie Buffalo Bills punter,
won the job
from last year. Kind of burst onto the scene. Is getting charged. With rape. Is that
civil lawsuit?
Civil lawsuit.
So not felony, where you get
felony is the bad ones. Misdemeanor is the not bad ones. This is the bad one.
Yeah. So it's not like a case brought to by police. So it's a civil suit. So it's brought by the lady in question. The details of the story, you can look them up. So him and a couple of mates, he had sexual relations with this poor lady, and she was underage, I think is what goes out. So she was 17 at the time. He comes out and says, I believe has said that it was consensual from his part of it, but she was still underage, I believe, in the state. So he's in trouble.
So best case scenario would be statutory?
I don't know.
Anyways, we're not obviously.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. It depends on what. He's a punter though. What NFL lawyer he gets. They've been very good in a lot of these circumstances.
They'll throw a lot of money into it.
Yeah, so who knows what that'll be. But Bills did the right thing. They cut him for now, and which forced Matt Barkley to be their punter.
They couldn't get anyone.
The quarterback. Yeah. So he, I think he had a net average of like 30 yards.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah. Man probably never kicked a football in his life.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have to see what Buffalo do. They go forward. So they've shut him down, got rid of him for now, and we'll have to wait for the trial to see out its course before they make a decision.
Pertaining to an incident when he was at San Diego State, which it seems to have involved a 17-year-old girl at a Halloween party and possibly some other people implicated in it. So I think you've done the right thing. The Bills have just gone, sorry, mate. See you later, and we'll let the court of law,
make the decision.
Make the decision there. All right, that's probably all the nasty.
Moving on.
The nasties out of
we move into injuries.
Yeah, well, that is true. Yeah, also some nasty ones, but at least these blokes get paid to rehab and the rest of it. But the fans of these teams might not be so impressed. Preseason is renowned for big name players going down. Touch wood, we haven't had a massive name this year go down with a season ender, although these ones we've highlighted because we probably need to speak about them. Sam Darnold was slated to get the starting role.
No, back up. So
back up.
Baker won it last week. So they announced that, and Sam was going to be the backup. But
of course, yep.
But of course, he's there fighting in that competition potentially to try and get that job back. And depending how they go, could be a bit of back and forth. He probably would have played, I would say, a little bit this year. But yeah, he's going to miss the first 4 to 6 weeks after rolling his ankle. So they will. Did they have Walker there as their third?
Yeah, yep. PJ Walker. Yeah.
So he'll get a roster spot, I'd say, and maybe the PUP for Sam to start the year.
Tyron Smith, this is a elite tackle in the NFL.
Yeah, you might need to Google this for us for the medical advice.
At the Cowboys.
James.
Well, from what you've written in the notes there, it seems like a hamstring tendon avulsion.
So there was a kneecap injury, which something happened in the kneecap, and that's a medical term, but it was part of that. It's caused the hamstring to tear off from there. Sounds nasty by all accounts.
I'm wondering. I'm trying to put my head around this Dr. Sean info here.
Well, it was originally released as torn hamstring, and then the follow-up news was no, there was a knee injury, and as part of that knee injury, the hamstring was torn off as well. Okay. But they're saying the surgery to repair it all is pretty straightforward and should mean he'll play this season, probably not till December.
Right.
But yeah, that it's it's a bad one overall for the Cowboys to lose their one of their tackles.
An elite one at that.
Yeah.
Marcus, what have you got? Can you decipher this?
Torn
hamstring is all I can see.
Off the bone, yeah.
Yeah. So avulsion. So you know what Latrell did? The hamstring has a few tendinous insertions on both the inside and the outside on the back of the knee. So you can tear them off the bone, and that doesn't seem to be. That is the longest recovery that there is for hamstring injuries. How the kneecap would be involved, I'm not really sure.
Avulsion fracture of the knee, but yeah, I think you've covered it. So.
Yeah. So it doesn't implicate the knee cap unless it's two sort of separate things. Regardless, anyways, we're getting a little bit medical here. It's the starting left tackle
12 weeks
for the Cowboys, and that's with a couple of weeks in lieu, that's half of the season gone already for Tyron Smith.
Yeah, big out for the Cowboys because I think they're
huge because their O-line's probably
and they let Collins go to the Bengals as well.
Collins.
So they've got the rookie. They've got the rookie. I think will have to stand in for them.
Yep.
Which is it another Smith? Might be.
I don't know if we need to look into that one.
Anyway, Cowboys O-line is
I've got to segue into another Smith. In Geno Smith will be starting for the Seattle Seahawks. The quarterback positional battle has been settled as per Pete Carroll. Drew Lock will be the backup. Did you see much of their preseason game? Lock pretty bad.
I saw some of the picks he threw, and they were bad picks.
Okay.
So, and he did throw 3 of them after having COVID the previous week, so he couldn't play game 2. But yeah, they've gone with the veteran Hieron Smith. Overall, I'm not liking the Seahawks' chances going forward.
I don't think anyone
They get Denver week 1 with the return of Wilson, so we'll have to see what that all looks like.
And that tough division, you imagine the Rams are as good as last year. Like they've strengthened their roster, getting ex-Seahawk. Bobby Wagner down there. Arizona, maybe not as strong as last year, perhaps, but
a lot of question marks, but they've still talent.
Better on paper than Seattle, and a lot of people have the 49ers kind of.
It's a quarterback league, and they don't really have one.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be a long year for Seattle Seahawks fans.
Yep.
How you going down the end there, Monks? You having a little smirk, a little chuckle, a little Angela smirkle?
No, just going back to injuries. The Baltimore Ravens mascot.
How's he getting in there? The mascot. How's he going? The Baltimore Ravens mascot, named Poe after Edgar Allan Poe. Good Simpsons ep there. Nevermore.
Did he break his shin or something?
He got taken out by some punk kid in their halftime show. And got on the little the injury mobile.
Had to get carted off. Had to get carted off.
How's he going?
So I mean,
broken beak.
No reports. He did come back out midway through the third quarter and was found high-fiving fans, whether or not it was the same mascot or not.
Give us a suit. What happened to the last guy? He died.
That's it. But yeah, during a youth football match against the mascots during halftime, we got absolutely floored by a kid.
He didn't get leveled. The kid came across and took out the bottom of his legs, and his legs get rolled up. I think it looks like he potentially dislocated his foot. But then of course the foot of the raven was facing the other direction. I don't know if his foot in that foot was facing the wrong direction, but it looked bad.
It did spawn a few funny Twitter responses, memes, and the like. This is why you don't play starters in preseason. We're going to have to get the backup mascot in there.
That's it. Yeah.
Yada yada.
Ravens spokesperson did say after the game that there's no injury updates until week 1.
There you go.
So
never more.
Might have to call up Big Bird to wear a Ravens jersey.
That's it. That being said, there was a mascot in a Bears outfit. I'm not sure if it was the Bears mascot, but apparently he absolutely leveled a kid as he was running into the end zone or something like that. So
yeah, well, I saw
no love lost there.
I saw the Chiefs mascot put on like 4 fens to score a touchdown against the kids in his match as well. So
bit of mascot chat.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I remember as a kid, I think we got a day out at Wonderland. Remember down in Sydney that they used to have the Wonderland, and there was someone in like a big one of those fluffy suits, and I was about 6, and I went and kicked him as hard as I could in the shin, and then got an almighty retribution from the old man. Pull my head in, etc., etc. Mascots are people too, boys. Mascot lives matter. Let's pray that Poe, the Ravens mascot, is all good, and it was just his suit that got dislocated, and not his actual foot. Maybe skip leg day. He's a crow. Maybe. He's a crow. Yeah. All right, I think that'll do us for Crom mascot chat. Yeah. Someone that is actually suffering or suffered a potentially season-ending injury was Trevor Penning, who's going to start O-line for the Saints. Yep. Did you see much about this one, Sean?
Yeah, tears ligament in foot. I think it's the main thing.
Liz Frank, most likely. That's what they say. When they
for
say
a big man as well, probably season done.
Yep.
While he has to rehab that, which is a bit of an out because I think he was going to start at least right tackle. He might have even snuck it in as their left tackle. But yeah, big out there for the Saints for the first rounder.
Now let's just cover this. Let's give this 20 seconds. Denzel Mims of like 5th or 6th string Jets receiver fame.
I think he's technically 3rd.
Get out the depth chart.
Because Crowder's at the Bills these days, and he's behind.
We got Corey Davis,
Wilson. Corey Davis for 4.
Braxton Berrios.
I'm not sure if we moved Braxton, but yeah.
Where we got him? Where am I? AFC East. Top left. Well,
anyway,
there you go.
Former second rounder from 2 years ago wants a fresh start, and maybe Green Bay needs an extra receiver.
It must have been a slow news day when this snuck in. Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Garrett Wilson. That's the top 3 on the list. Then, in line with Braxton Berrios, Jeff Smith. My name is Jeff, and Denzel Mims. So we're talking 5th/6th depth. If you want to come on a podcast down under, Denzel Mims, and discuss your future, I'm more than happy to have you.
Yeah. Anyway, second rounder from 2 years ago.
Something that is big, I really think. Love watching it. If you're a casual NFL fan and you want to kind of see who the guys are in this league, as rated by their peers, check out the top 100 on YouTube. Is probably the best way to catch it. Just type in top 100 of 2022. You'll get a playlist you can work through. The top 100 players. It's the 12th year that they've done this. They essentially ask the players, no one else, no coaches, no journos, no dickhead Australian podcasters have their say on this, just the players. Yep. The top 80 has been released in order, so 100 through 21. Yep. And then the top 20 will be released Sunday night US time, so sometime tomorrow. I'll shoot off the top 20 that we have remaining, and then we'll kind of chat the remainders and surprises from that top 80. So in alphabetical order, the top 20 will be, and in obviously not in the order that they're going to come out, if that makes sense. Devontae Adams, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett, Derek the King Henry, Tyreek Hill, JC Jackson will be his first time as a top 20. Justin Jefferson will be his first time as a top 20. Travis Kelce, Cooper Kupp will be his first time as top 20. Darius, a.k.a. Shaquille Leonard. I think some people are reporting Darius Shaquille Leonard. Some people are reporting Shaquille Leonard.
He wanted Shaquille Leonard.
Formerly known as Darius Leonard, maybe having a name change. We're talking about the Colts middle linebacker. Yep. Patrick Mahomes, Micah Parsons. He's a rookie, so pretty impressive for a rookie to be in the top 20. Jalen Ramsey, arguably the best corner in the league. Aaron Rodgers, defending MVP. Deebo Samuel, TJ Watt, Trent Williams. That will be the top 20. Tune in tonight/tomorrow, depending on where you are, to see that unfold on the YouTubes. Boys, we've got 100 through 21 named. Were there any surprises?
I don't think so. I think overall it was a pretty good list. I'm just trying to think of who missed out.
I thought Mac Jones at 85 was surprising over Kirk Cousins.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
For Kirk Cousins. I think he also gets probably New England stink on him a little bit, so that's helped him rise a little further up the list.
Had a great rookie year. Don't get me wrong.
Was the best rookie quarterback last year.
But I think if you look at his numbers,
it was less. But like I said, I think he gets a bit of New England rub off on him as well, so that helped bump his numbers up.
Justin Tucker getting in as a kicker at 94.
I think if you're going to do it last year when he got the record. I think it makes sense that sneak him in there at the end for what he's done for the Ravens, what he's done consistently for the league, and to get the record for the longest field goal. I think it's fair to sneak him in the end there.
Kickers are people too, bro. Kickers are people too.
Yeah.
A bloke that I kept ratting off last year and kept being the bane of my podcasting and fantasy existence, Cordero Patterson, 73, comes through, the gadget man, 10 years in the league and breaks the top 100 for the first time. He's a cool customer. I like the way that he goes about his business. He speaks in the top 100, and he's just happy to be in that list. And for a guy that probably knew that he had the talent the whole time, just waiting to showcase it outside of kick returning, got honoured by his peers, sliding in at 73 there. As a Packers fan, Devondre Campbell, first time on the list, 49. So cracking the top 50. They brought him across from the Atlanta Falcons. They had a bit of a revolving door at Mike linebacker over the last few years. Blake Martinez was there for a bit. Jake Ryan there for a bit. Brought in Devondre Campbell, and I don't think anyone really expected him to be as good as he was. He's kind of got that outside linebacker size, like 6'4", like 250, 255, got the long dreads, and he just goes sideline to sideline, makes tackles. I think he got a couple sacks and spearheaded that defense last year. But yeah, like you said, pretty good list. The players choose it. So if you go off anyone's kind of insight into the game, I think the other players, their peers, is probably the best.
I can't find a guy that was probably unanimously hated across the league and missed out. So.
No, there's no one there where you really scratch your head and go, oh, how is this guy that high? Obviously, it's going to...
There's no Antonio Brown, bro.
Had he made the top 100, it probably would have been interesting, given the outspoken nature of his career in recent memory. A lot of guys in there for the first time, a lot of guys to keep an eye on.
Young man's league.
Moving forward. OBJ, I'm happy to see him in that list at 90. Obviously, last year wasn't doing much as a Cleveland Brown. Gets traded to the Rams and just goes nuts, especially in the postseason. Carl Juszczyk, you like having a fullback in there.
Don't mind a bit of fullback.
A bit of
he does lots for the fullback.
He does everything.
He does. He's pretty much a tight end that lines up at fullback on occasion, and real easy name to spell as well. Juszczyk. But yeah, check it out. It's good viewing. If you haven't seen the top 100 before, it's kind of like 3 to 4 minutes clips, highlight clips. Interviews on each player, and YouTube is the best place to check that out. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for, the tight ends at least. Sean's NFL Fantasy Files. He has covered, everything. We've discussed.
These are the last positions. So.
We've discussed quarterbacks, we've discussed running backs, we've discussed receivers, and we've done a rookie-only episode. So check those out, please, if that's what you're after. But today we're talking tight ends. I need to go for a quick toilet break, but Sean, can you lead us off with your top-tier guys and your thoughts, who you want to draft, who you don't, or who you're cautious about drafting in your fantasy league this year, please?
Yeah, well, start with the tight ends. There's probably the top 5 are the targets. So you got Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, Kyle Pitts, George Kittle, and Darren Waller fitting in that top 5. Mark Andrews I've got is probably my one, but Kels has the higher average draft position. My concerns with Kels 33 years old. Can he keep doing this? He's going to be asked to do a lot this year. Maybe does he get overworked? But at 13, that's second round pick kind of range, potentially sneaking into the end of your first. I just think that's a lot for a tight end. Though with Kelsey, you can expect him to play the entire season and get over 100 receptions.
Knock on wood, as long as he doesn't get injured, he's going to get bulk production.
In
that team there.
So definitely. So that's kind of what you alluded to. But also, it was like, will they manage him a little bit more as he's now getting older? We'll have to see. I'm just not a huge fan of his average draft position because it is very high. Andrews is going in the 20 range, Raffler around 22. Pitts is at 32. Kittle's at 38-ish, going in those 30 ranges. And Waller then slides into, say, a 4th, 5th rounders at 44-ish there. So for Kittle... Actually, no, I'll skip that. We'll go Pitts next. Pitts is usually gone about third off the board. He should get all the targets he had last year. His biggest issue was no touchdowns. So he had the one last year. I think his quarterback position's worse, but he has more talent around him, which may help. Hard to say. That Falcons team's big question mark. He got a good long reception in the preseason game yesterday. So... Yeah. He's definitely talented and is, should be up here in this list. Again, do you worry about how high he's going? Maybe. But there is I think there's been more in the tight ends for this year, but there's also still a significant drop-off. Yeah. You want to target, I guess the strategy is you want to target one of these 5, and if you can get them closer to the 5th round, that's where I aim to get a tight end.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not like... last couple of years have been pretty unique in terms of that. You would want Kelsey or Kittle in the first round. Like you did have people sort of picking them like randomly in the first round. There seems to be a bit of a shift away from that this year. More so just in terms of team movements than anything else. Yeah.
So speaking of Kittle, has played a fair bit in the preseason, which is good. My big risks with him, of course, is the quarterback situation with Lance, and maybe his playing style is very physical, and he does miss a fair amount of games because of that. Had interrupted seasons through injury the last couple of years. Going at 38, I just have too much risk with him. Of the 5, I'd prefer to target the other 4 first before I looked at Kittle. Darren Waller then rounds out that 5 there, as I said, going at 44. Coming off a few injuries, has been a bit banged up. Didn't play at all, I don't think, in the preseason with a hamstring-related injury. The question for him is volume. Does he steal some of Hunter's volume back? Then with Adams added into there, where's that fit? It kind of makes it hard. So of the 5, I'd target Andrews and Kelsey if you can in that, say, 3rd round. Probably both will be gone by then. Then maybe have a look at Pitts towards the end of that 3rd. If you can wait and try and get one of these guys in the 4th or 5th, then that's probably a better position, so you can load up and running back and wide receiver talent. So I've got number 6 there, TJ Hockenson, coming off an injury. He missed the last 5 games, had been playing well up to that point. I think he's potentially probably the good value of this whole list, going at 65, so 6th or 7th round. He would have been top 5 if he hadn't got injured. But I think if you miss out on these guys, you can probably wait a round or 2 and then add TJ. He's, besides St. Brown at the Lions team, they've got nothing really there. Williams is on PUP, so he'll miss the first 8 weeks. So I'd say healthy TJ is going to get a lot of the ball there from Goff. So I do like TJ as a sneaky good value at this point.
As points per game in a PPR league before, it's per game, he was 6th overall last year. So obviously the injury sort of restricted his numbers there.
Missed the last 5.
TJ Hockenson, yeah.
So then Zach Ertz is in the next... Well, actually, he comes down a little bit further, but depending on ranking, he bumps up and around. But average draft position at the moment is 96. Has, I guess, won that role in tight end space there. There is questions about receivers at Arizona. There is questions overall about the offense is probably what gives me the most risk with Ertz, and then kind of the return you get from Ertz in previous years. He's just a player I generally try to avoid, and I think there's options elsewhere. Dante Schultz is probably one of those things that I'd...
Dalton,
sorry. What did I say, Dante? It's not even
Just
close to it.
adding a little bit of slang or something to it.
Yeah.
he changed the race.
Schultz, anyway, for Dallas, going in the, say, 60s range. When healthy, top-tier tight end. Played all of last year after missing the previous year, a lot of it. So he will get a lot of value.
Yeah, I like him.
A lot of volume in this offense. Now with, no Cooper there, it's got to be shared around. So that's kind of why I think he's been bumped up a little bit here into that 60s range for his average draft position. And on a big Cowboys offense, I think that's pretty good value. Again, if you miss out on the top 5, him and Hockenson are probably guys to target next in that round 6 or 7.
In PPR leagues last year, he was 3rd overall and 5th per game. I think there's a bit of value there in taking Dalton Schultz.
I'm just going to make the comment like the last couple of weeks when we're talking about running backs and quarterbacks, we sort of said don't touch the Cowboys or leave them probably till a little bit later if you can get them.
Outside of CD Lamb, the big question marks across there, and the competition at running back, the offensive line we just talked about with the injuries.
So you think Schultz is a safer bet than some of the other starters? Obviously, with CD Lamb being the
as a tight end, because he's potentially going to get volume, get 100 targets this year. So that's what you'd look for, and they have to throw the ball to someone, and a safe outlet tight end like Schultz is a good option there for Dak. Next Dallas Goddard is the next up on that list. His average draft position at 71, so just going behind these guys. Had a bit of a breakout year finally after Zach Ertz got traded away. Coming into that offense, I think he finished up with about 50-ish receptions, but then starting as a 1 essentially. The big question mark for him is probably AJ Brown, because they didn't have as many options in that offense, and if anyone's going to lose some volume in that Eagles offense, it's probably Dallas Goedert to AJ Brown, with Smith as being their 1-2 and the wide receiver position. So, and a team that has a quarterback that has a preference to running. I think Dallas might actually regress a little bit.
Yeah. I don't think that's...
I think when I say regress, he's probably going to have the similar numbers as he did this year. Last season,
which didn't break the house down.
Yeah, which was, solid, but it wasn't, he's not in the top 5, as we mentioned before. So good return, solid return, but maybe not the potential volume that the others in front of him are getting.
Pat Frymouth had probably over his season last year. Do you think he can reproduce that, or are you concerned about the quarterback situation there?
Quarterback situation. It looks like Pickett's probably going to win that job. He's been very good in preseason. That's the whole story there. Average draft position over the hundreds, 110. So he's going in round 11. So you can get some value there late. But I think the reason also is quarterback situation plus mouths. They got Johnson, they got Claypool, potentially now Pickens as well as the third. They've got plenty of options they can throw around to. That probably drops overall what he can do. And I think for him, it's probably a regression instead of taking another step in that offense currently. It might be wait on him this year, come back the following year once they've maybe Pickett's established himself a little bit as a quarterback. And that's where we'll see what the offense is like overall, and what the overall weapons are with the wide receivers and how they fit in there. And then the last one, Dallas Knox.
Dawson.
Sorry, what did I say? Dallas.
Got it. You might have been looking at.
Yeah. Need to put my glasses on. So Knox for the Bills.
Good excuse.
I think you had to do that 94 episode.
So Knox for the Bills. They're going at 96 as an average. His biggest concern is, same for a lot of these volume. OJ Howard's there. If he doesn't make the team, I'd consider drafting Knox at that kind of 9th, 10th round. If the OJ's on the team, then I'd probably avoid Knox completely, because he's going to he'll share some of those big passing situations with the big boy and OJ. Because the benefit for him, passing offense, lots of volume. They're going to throw the ball around all over the place. But there, again, lots of mouths to feed there.
Competition.
Lots of competition. So I think he's kind of fair for his draft position, and I would make a decision on whether OJ Howard is on that team come next week.
Gronk did fine, just quietly coming back, but was playing with Brady
But he came in as the one though, so and really made OJ Howard and Bright the second fiddle to the reason why they let him go. They didn't resign him. So,
do you think you'd have to go after one of these top 4 or 5 guys? Because then the talent really drops off so quickly? I
think if you want to see if you can get one of the 5, if you can't get one of them by round 4 or 5, then look at Schultz and Hockenson in year 6 or 7.
Yep.
And that should be a game plan. Outside of that, probably avoid a lot of them.
Quickly run through the other possibilities.
Yeah, the other possibilities. So there's probably 3 late that for whatever reason are very late and you could potentially do really well, and the other ones are avoid. So Cole Kemp at there is average draft position of 123. Does have field of the quarterback. He's probably the number 2 wide receiver on that team. His biggest issue was touchdowns. He would probably get high volume. I don't think he scored any touchdowns last year. So
you're correct, yeah.
That's the big difference. If he can get some tutters, he will then bump himself up into that top 10 or deep into that top 10 conversation. But yeah, the Bills is the question. Not Bears. The Bears is the question for that his overall outlook. But late, if you missed out on all those other guys we mentioned, then he's potential sleeper, as you will, are there. Next one, Big O. I'd just say coming off the AC and what I've seen from the preseason, avoid completely.
This is at Denver, and you've watched pretty much every snap of Denver's preseason.
Yeah, the tight end role I think is very much a shared one, and Greg Dorsey, who's their second round pick, hasn't played at all in the preseason due to hamstring injury, but potentially I think might end up just walking in and having the job as a starter. I wouldn't draft him. I think it's more like he's like a solid pickup, come week 4 when maybe he steals that as a good receiving option there in Denver. So overall, avoid Denver's tight ends. Do you
think Dulcich might be the starter?
I think he will take a lot of the passing down role.
Which they draft him second round?
Second round?
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, Nick Medina, second round, he'd be third.
Third round.
Sorry, yeah, I forgot they didn't pick first because Russell Wilson, let's ride. So, interesting ones. The next 3, Jarrell Everett comes across from...
Rams?
Ooh, was he Rams last year?
He wasn't.
No.
He wasn't the Rams for a while.
Seahawks. Rams, Seahawks, now at Chargers. Takes over the Cook role there. Cook is tired, I believe, which is interesting because he's going, essentially not getting drafted at the moment, but he looks like to be a starting tight end in that team. There's no other really tight ends of name, and he's in a big
high-powered offense.
Yep. So probably sleeping on him a little bit there. Robert Tonyan coming off the ACL again.
As a Packers fan that drafted him after his stellar 2020 career season last year, pretty ordinary.
Well, AC during the middle of the year means that's why he didn't have the turn. But then also,
but even in the lead up before he had the injury,
it
just wasn't the same.
The Packers started the season slow as well. So
there's
a bit of overlap there.
I'd be hesitant, and I'd wonder what kind of league you're in if Robert Tonyan's getting drafted.
Yeah, I'm saying that this is last round kind of Hail Mary kind of situation potentially.
Sure.
But you look at there's no guaranteed wide receiving options over Green Bay.
Yeah.
He's a veteran there, young talent. See what he looks like coming off the ACL and see how he fits in there.
He just hurt me last year,
Yeah. Irv Smith Jr. is another really
This is a good sleeper. I think this is a good sleeper.
And average draft position last round. Could have a big role. He kind of fits that role that the Rams tight ends, because that's the offense they're running over there at Vikings. Hasn't played at all in the preseason. Has a bit of a thumb issue currently, but should be good for week 1. But it's probably their third, best receiving option in that team behind Thielen and Jefferson. So could be in for a big role and big volume. His previous year before the injury, I think he scored like 5 touchdowns or something. Didn't have the receivers, but he was a red zone option. and could fit into that core very well. So I do like him here.
Beauty. Last few?
Yeah, Jordan from Houston has been a bit of a sleeper during the preseason. His biggest issue is on the Texans.
Yeah.
So maybe avoid. I think overall avoid the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tight ends. They did add Kyle Rudolph there. He hasn't played a lot in preseason, but I think it's everything I've seen. It's a shared kind of role they're going there. There won't be a true number one, and they've kind of shared that role in the past with Gronk as well. So
probably watch it as the season goes on and see who
exactly. Yeah, that's a potential target to see if Kyle Rudolph plays a lot in that. But again, another high-powered offense, a lot of mouths to feed. Have to see what his volume is. Another very interesting one, probably the darling from preseason, is Isaiah Likely playing over in the Ravens team. Got average draft positions 200 plus, but you think of the way the Ravens play, they love playing two tight end sets. He's likely to be tight end number 2. They don't really have much options at wide receiver outside of Bateman. So he potentially could be the third receiving option on the Ravens team. So he could very quickly find his way into the conversation for, big volume, big catches. I think he had a game last week with 100 plus yards and 7-ish catches. Like, he's definitely a receiving option. That's kind of what his draft had. Mark Andrews has been talking him up, says he's got a bit of me in him, etc. So
is he kind of like a handcuffed tight end? Would you
potentially
like that?
Well, also tight end number 2, the way the Ravens play, they're going to run the ball a lot and be in tight end 2 sets. He's going to play a lot of snaps. Okay. So though he's tight end number 2, he's probably wide receiver 3.
Sure.
And we'll have to see what Lamar looks like coming in the season. But Lamar's been an MVP, can throw bombs, got wheels. I think Likely might be able to sneak in as a. I like him as the one of kind of that half cuff kind of situation. If you pick a top 5 guy, and if you need another tight end on your roster to sit on your bench, Likely's a good one to have there for the potential of what he can be coming into the season.
Beauty. Monks, do you have any questions around Hunter Henry?
Yeah, just wondering. I know he probably doesn't get the yardage, but he's definitely like that red zone target.
Is he on the Pat still?
Yeah, he's on the Pats.
Avoid.
He was tight end 10 last year. He caught 9 touchdowns.
Was banged up a bit, and then he's sharing with Smith still as well. So
still avoid.
anything receiving related for Patriots at the moment is a solid avoid.
Yeah, not fair.
Let's shoot through the defenses and the kickers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So defenses, the top 10, you got Buffalo Bills at 1, followed by Tampa Bay, 49ers, Colts, Rams, Saints, Denver, Patriots, Chargers, and Cowboys. For me, I think Bills probably slightly overrated, as in they're probably going too early. And, they've got a bit of a tough schedule to start off. I think the others probably fair where they are. Colts at 4, maybe regress a little bit after last season. They are a very good defensive team, but they were very, very good last year. Sticking to that standard might be hard.
Did they lose to Forrest Buckner? He went to Miami, did he not?
Potentially.
I'll chase that up. I'm pretty sure they lost their all-pro defensive tackle.
Rams were there at 5. Saints, I do like Rams haven't changed. Saints have a bit of concern with. I'm not a huge fan of their defense overall, but they're a good defense.
Disregard DeForest Buckner at the Colts.
Yeah, at the Colts. Thing in Saints' favour, they're going to play the Falcons and Panthers twice this year. So 4 games overall.
I like that.
Yeah, so
good matchup.
That's good matchups there. So going at 6. My favourite overall of this list is Denver.
Shock me.
Of course.
They do start off, I believe, playing Seahawks first, then Houston. So they got a good start to the season. Biggest concern was same with them and the Chargers is they do play in the West, in the very loaded West. So
few shootouts.
Yeah, six games of the season, which will be shootouts. But potentially, a lot of intercepts, sacks could come from that. So this could be scoring. But I do like Denver where they're going. They've got a really good schedule to start with, one of the easier schedules, but they have a very tough run late. The last 4 games, I believe, Kansas twice, Chargers, and Rams. So maybe use them to start the season and then
fuck
give them a flick for the last month of football. Yeah.
Do the Chargers kind of come into a similar consideration?
Yeah.
That they're in the West, pretty solid defense.
Exact same. Yeah, solid defense, but in the West is a concern. These two probably great kind of streaming options to go back and forth depending on who they're playing week to week. And the Pats, everyone kind of sleeps on the Pats. They've been top 10 defense since 2018. So I'd say that probably continues for them.
Consistent.
They're very consistent, and that's kind of their style of football they play, very grindy game of football. So we'll have to see what that looks like. And then Dallas sneaks in at 10, but that's due to their most turnovers. I think they had 27 last year. So
pretty much off the back of Diggs.
Yeah. So the question for them is, can they repeat that? I'd say probably not. It's hard to get to that level again. So maybe a regression for them. Other teams to consider, Packers, Dolphins and Ravens. Dolphins probably criminally underrated for their defense. They're very good defensively. The Ravens have been banged up. Again, could push into top 10, top 5 kind of defense. That's very Ravens of them to do that. That's the kind of team they play as. And then surprisingly, the Steelers have fallen off. They were defense 1-2 years ago, and now they're not even in the top 15. I think they're going like 18 at the moment.
What's the thinking there? Their offense is going to be so poop that they're going to have to play so much. They're going to get tired.
Yeah.
Is that the thinking?
I think overall situations, probably having to chase in games, and they weren't as good last year as well, but they also were banged up a bit. But they
got the best edge rusher in the league in TJ Watt.
Yep.
Might be underrated. Maybe a Smokey.
Maybe a Smokey. Good one if you don't pick him up as well to target for streaming options too. And then to finish off kickers.
I can't believe we're talking about this.
Let's you've interrupted me, so it took longer than it needed to.
I'll shut up for 30 seconds.
Yeah. So you get Tucker, McPherson, Gabe, Buckner. I don't know how to say the Colts' name.
Blankenship,
Bass, Suckup, and McManus. They're the ones I like. They're potentially all the top offenses in the league, so focus on them, ignore everything else.
That's pretty good.
I'm done.
That's pretty good.
And that's fantasy for this year. Good luck. Season starts in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so a lot of fantasy.
Thursday night, 2 weeks.
Yeah. We're 10 days away, 11 days away. A lot of fantasy drafts will happen next week. So good luck to anyone that is playing fantasy football this year. And thank you, Sean, for your insights over the last month.
Yep.
And please, if you do want to see our thoughts on quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and rookies, check out the last few videos. And that was tight ends, defenses, and kickers are people too. you know a thing or two about drafting kickers early.
Yeah.
In the second round.
Always go second round.
That brings us into the On The Esky final round. Ding, ding.
Whoa, massive kick in
UFC. Yeah, kick to kick. I like it. UFC 278.
How do I get through to these kids?
We've got a new welterweight champ. We were on Monkey's Bucks party last week in the corporo. In the corporate box, but Sean, you were following the fights pretty closely, and a massive result in Leon Edwards knocking out with a head kick, Kamaru Usman. A lot of people thought Usman would walk over in this fight, and he probably was. This was the fifth rounder. Your insights, please, on this, and what will they do moving forward?
Yeah, well, I think he said it afterwards. Pound for pound. Head kick, death. He was down probably all 4 rounds. Going the last minute left.
10 seconds, wasn't it?
No, it was the last minute.
Last minute? Okay.
Yeah, with a minute 10 to go, I think. So Herb Dean splits him with at about the 2 minute mark after Usman was, dominated grappling the exchanges throughout the entire fight, had him pinned up on the cage, and Herb splits him, and just the faint right jab. Usman ducks down and gets head kicked. So it was a great finish for Edwards there. Great upset. Probably maybe rematch over in England. But anyway, the next title fight for this belt will be in England. Big props to Edwards to get the job done after being essentially dominated throughout the entire fight. So big props. That's all I can really say to sum it up. It makes
this sport one of the most exciting sports in the world, doesn't it? Where it's not over till the fat lady sings. You know, Usman. What was his sixth title defense? Sixth title defense.
Yep.
He dominates 4 rounds and
Fourth opponent, I think, as well.
And you can't, you can't take a moment off because someone will catch her and someone will become the world champion in the blink of an eye, and it's an unbelievable result there for Leon Edwards.
So Edwards will either get the rematch.
They have to go that way, don't they?
I think so.
Kamara, he's earned.
Yeah,
run it back.
There's a story of the storyline of Masvidal, of course. They haven't resolved the thing. Yeah. I think that probably depends if they do the Masvidal Burns fight. If he wins that makes sense then. And then there was what was the other one? There was another one, which was the winner of there's another welterweight fight coming up, and he might get the winner of that.
Colby?
No, the Nate Diaz versus Hazmat. Yeah.
I think
Hamza.
Yeah, I think the problem with that going through some of those routes is it just takes too long. Like Edwards wouldn't get another fight until, like, if you want Usman to work his way back in, then it's going to be almost 12 months before Usman and you have Usman and Edwards again.
Yeah,
that's the only problem.
Probably
with it.
But then also
because I think those fights are later on this year.
Yes,
and then you need to schedule a fight between Usman and whoever wins in either of those other fights.
If Hamzat kills Diaz, which is likely, do you think he gets it?
They are fast tracking it, and
probably deserves it.
Maybe because that fight's not too far away. So yeah, that's a solid. The one that's missing in all this is Colby is got no dance partner and could potentially fill in there for.
But has had 2 cracks at it. Did very well.
Yeah,
went the distance, few wars, but has had 2 cracks.
Yeah, and whether they. Take Edwards, do the trilogy with him and Usman for number 1 contenders. I don't know, but it's opened it up the division. It's good conversation to have. Yeah. So.
Look at that record for Usman. It's just sea of green and then this random red from Leon Edwards, and it's what makes this sport so enticing, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. What was the co-main? Was Paulo Costa
Luke Rockhold
being Luke Rockhold? Rockhold retired. Rockhold was done after the first round. He retired because he said, I'm too old for this shit. Yeah, I gave everything I had. Really was kind of a back and forward fight, but Costa was just overall better throughout this, which was good to see that he didn't gas and play to the kind of fight with Rockhold. He did. Rockhold threw some Hail Mary haymakers in this, landed a few of them, but overall Costa wasn't troubled too much.
Costa needed a win here, coming off those 2 losses. Yeah, granted, pretty good fighters in Vittoria and Adesanya, but the whole I had wines the night before or whatever in the lead up to the Adesanya.
Big thing he made weight and
he made weight. He got the win.
He'll stay in the top 5.
Exactly, consolidates his career. Luke Rockhold, 37 years of age, throwing the gloves into the octagon, coming off losses to Costa Blachowicz, Yoel Romero. A pretty good career there for Luke Rockhold, who finished at 16-6.
Was it just the middleweight belt that he held?
Yeah, only middleweight.
Okay.
And then he lost that at Brisbane, tried to go up, got demolished and came back down. Who fought before these 2? What was the third one?
That was our mate Merab Dvalishvili versus Aldo, and he got the win, Merab, and he's shooting up the rankings pretty quickly, isn't he?
And this was a bit of a disappointing fight for me because not a lot happened. I think Aldo played it way too safe, and it was a bit of a quiet fight. So overall disappointing, and that's big time disappointing for Aldo because it may have killed off his last run at a title. Title. He took big risk in this. Taking this fight, but it was just for me a too quiet a fight. He just was just wrestled on the cage and it was just slow overall.
Any ring rust? Hadn't fought for 9 months.
Maybe, but then he's been fighting for the last 30 years. So I think
since he was 5. Probably true. Probably true.
I don't think so. I don't know. He just maybe gun shy a little bit in that one. I would have liked to have seen a bit more. But anyway, that was the main ones, and I think our lad Tyson Pedro won as well.
UFC 279. How long have we got to wait till
There's
that
no
one?
event this week.
And then they go to Paris, I think, next week.
Well,
Is
that's there you go. It's a Diaz fight coming up, and that's in a couple of weeks. 10th.
So this one.
Where's your fight night there? So you get Gain. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Aussies.
Oh,
So-
yeah, versus Shui.
Yeah,
There's
and then
Shui, and then you got Whitaker versus Vittori.
Sorry,
That's sick.
Yeah, it's
So
big,
that's
big
2
card for us.
2 weeks away in Paris.
yeah,
Yep,
not
3rd of
this
September.
Not
Yep.
this week, but
Yeah,
before.
so week
No,
off.
No, it's next
No,
week.
it's next weekend.
Next
Next
weekend.
weekend.
Yeah.
Next Sunday.
Shit, yeah. Let's go. That's mad. That's mad. NFL
Yeah.
fantasy drafts into 2 Aussies fighting in Paris.
Yeah, that's it.
And both of them looking for potential title fights again. So,
Yeah.
because Gain, I think, 3 or 4 at the moment. So, yeah.
Imagine if Tui beats him. Like, that's a title shot.
Yeah, it's in the conversation.
That's
and-
that's conversation.
yeah, well, John Jones is probably going to fuck all that up when he comes
Probably,
back.
probably. Yeah.
But yeah, he's at least he'll be there to get whoever Jones is probably not fighting. So yeah, if he gets an Ngannou, maybe Stipe needs a dance partner, and the winner of this might be
Tui's
the
right there. Jones been chirping on socials I've seen this week, having a crack at Khabib, saying that
Greatest of all time or something like that.
Yeah.
Jones has had more title defenses than Khabib had fights in the
Yeah.
UFC.
which is also true.
It is true. It is
Well,
true.
Anderson Silva also and GSP had more title fights than Khabib had fights in the UFC. So
Also, no asterisks on Khabib's record.
yeah, well, there's none on GSPs, but there is on Silver's.
I'm talking about Jones.
Yeah, and Jones as well.
Who is
There's-
the man making the comparison?
Yeah.
Also, a big fan, would interview, don't want to fight.
That's it. And then, that's UFC 279 is happening on the 10th, so the week after.
Yeah, the next 2 weeks, 2 big cards coming up.
Comes around pretty quick.
Yeah.
Comes around pretty quick.
does.
That is the Hamzat Diaz fight, and also in the welterweight Tony Ferguson versus the Chinese fella Li Jing Liang.
That's upper weight division for Tony Ferguson too.
Oh yeah, coming up. Yeah, interesting. Okay, boxing.
Yeah, boxing, and we had the YouTube boxing event today. KSI with main event that fighting 2 dudes as well. Took a leaf out of Paul Gallen's book, which I think,
Which is yet to happen.
when's that happening? Is that
It's a few
Wednesday?
weeks. It's a few weeks. Is it? It's not this week, is it?
I thought it was in August. So I thought you looked that up. So yeah, it's Fort Swarms, who was a rapper in the UK, beat him by KO, and then fought a unknown professional boxer, beat him as well. Did call out Andrew Tate and Tommy Fury, among others. Surprisingly, didn't call out Jake Paul after his win here. Did look better as a YouTube boxer overall from what I saw. Did have Logan, so Jake's brother, in the ring after him because they are business partners with the whole Prime thing. So it'd be interesting to see how that YouTube boxing proceeds. They had a big card, sold out the O2 Arena. Considering Anthony Joshua was there like a week ago as well. So
impressive. Impressive.
impressive for them. And that's just the way kind of boxing is at the moment with the celebrity stuff. And they're building this big in the UK. His younger brother, Deji, also on the undercard, got his first win as well. So, UK YouTube boxing, trying to overlap with the US YouTube boxing and putting on big pay-per-views, and probably did a lot more buys than the Anthony Joshua fight.
Which is wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the future, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's YouTube. It's trash talking. It's bullshit.
Yeah, stars.
Speaking of this Andrew Tate, just quickly run us through, because he's taken the world by storm over the last 6 months, for better or for worse. I'm going to say worse.
Yeah.
Your thoughts? Who is he? To our listeners that might not know.
To summarize, he gives very specific, manly advice that you probably shouldn't follow.
Misogynistic is
that's the
is
word.
probably how I'd go. It's
I'll
also
use my NRL chat, so yeah.
It's probably also a character, maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah,
He's also, for a guy that likes to talk about how much he pulls women and the rest of it, not that good looking. just objectively. He did have a kickboxing background, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think there's rumors of slave trade and things for his background being out in Eastern European. So that if you ever want to go down that hole, go check that out. It's pretty funny.
Cashed up.
You should watch the podcast with Andrew Schultz, of Flagrant with True Geordie, because he's got a bit of a feud for whatever reason with Andrew Tate, and they talk about it heaps.
Right.
There's a bit of back and forth there, which is funny. So
this is the way the world is going. Talk shit on YouTube, fight someone, get paid.
Get paid big dollars.
Yeah. Hef versus Andrew Tate. Let's go. I'm good. I got to stop doing that.
In actual boxing news, Anthony Joshua
real
did
boxing.
take on Usman during the week. That was Sunday week.
Yep. Last week.
So Usman got the win. Won by split decision, I believe. And watching it, very technical fight. So overall, very technical fight. I think probably a fair judge's decision for retaining there for Usman, but it was like I said. A very good back and forth fight, very technical. Not a lot of no blood, no knockdowns kind of thing. It was just who could land the best. And Usman had, of course, a very volume fighter for a heavyweight, which is very impressive. Retains. So I guess the conversation is Fury potentially next. Otherwise, then the opposite of that, Wilder and Joshua. That kind of makes sense overall in the big scheme of things. A unified heavyweight champion belt, I think, would be huge.
Well, that's where we're at now. Usyk has one, Fury has the rest.
Other way around. Fury's got one and Usyk's got four.
Oh, okay.
Because he's got Joshua's belts.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you. So, a unification would be interesting.
Yeah, and Tyson, I guess, is considered the number one heavyweight at the moment as well. He gets huge in the US media, so I guess that bumps his ratings up a bit. But it'd be interesting to see because Usman was giving up size to Joshua. I think he's only 6'2" and a bit. But how he would go with an even bigger fighter.
6'9" giant.
Yeah, giant.
Gypsy
Tyson
King.
Fury. So, but hey, he's world champion for a reason.
Yeah. He's a scary looking fuck, isn't he?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Bred him different in Eastern Europe.
Oh, big time.
They bred him different.
Big time Ukrainian. So we'll see what boxing entails. I don't think Tyson's got a dance partner at the moment. So maybe not this year, maybe early next.
Yeah, we've only got 4 months left in this year. Yeah, maybe early next. I think that's probably the fight that makes sense, isn't it?
Yeah, to me it makes sense.
And Fury. Yeah.
All right.
F1.
Let's finish with F1. Yes.
Spa.
Summer break is done. We are in Spa. The rumours. So Danny Rick has ended his contract with McLaren. Rumours anywhere, I think 15 mil USD, 20-ish AUDs.
To walk away.
To leave his contract. So he's now looking for a seat. All the rumours there is potentially Haas, potentially Alpine, potentially Alfa Romeo. They're all conversations about where Danny could go. Also could take a year off if the seat's not right. Haas, of course, talking about Hulkenberg, and does that mean Shui or Magnussen are on their way out? Maybe they're moving. There's been chat today about Alpine trying to steal Pierre Gasly from AlphaTauri. So early season for seats is still underway. I'd expect Oscar to be announced as the McLaren driver in the coming weeks. I think there's rumours of that, of the Dutch Grand Prix, but we'll have to see what happens.
Was there any salt with Piastri and
I don't think so. I just think because Mark Webber was the manager there, they've just seen an opportunity. Zach Brown said, "Hey, we'd love a young talent you to come join our program," and they've seen a direct path to a seat. Whereas I think Piastri Oscar was stuck behind Alonso and potentially could have been stuck behind Alonso for another year. But Alonso's given them the big middle fingers and fucked off, and now it's just fucked everything up.
Well, it's a bit interesting because I have been reading a few stories here or there, and I think a lot of it comes down to the team principal for Alpine. So apparently Alonso had talked to a lot of the other management.
Sounds like he told everyone but Otmar.
Yeah, that's it. And then so after that news broke, Otmar's gone to Piastri and like, hey, look, we're probably going to be promoting you to...
Yeah, you're going to start next year.
Yeah, and apparently, allegedly, this is all while in the back, Piastri's been doing all this stuff with McLaren. Yeah. Piastri's turned around and said, okay, cool, thanks. And just like as a throwaway sort of, like, obviously doesn't want to show his hand. And then that's how Otmar's like obviously reacted very quickly to that.
Yeah,
try
you
and
said
like
yes to
solidify
us.
that.
Yeah.
And then
So perhaps a bit of salt.
maybe, yeah.
Just
but
a sprinkle.
It's very
A pinch.
interesting that with both Alonso and Piastri, the team principal is the person that's been left in the lurch both
Yeah.
times, whereas everyone else has more or less known what was happening. So,
Is this like quarterbacks and GMs? Is that a reasonable
Yes,
kind
a
of
very good comparison.
comparison?
definitely,
Yeah. Like the power actually kind of lies with the face of the franchise in the guy that's going to be under center or, in the seat, perhaps more so than the
it is a bit interesting. I suppose it depends on the team as well.
well, that is true, yeah.
With Red Bull and Mercedes, it's Horner and Wolff. Like,
Yeah.
Ferrari's probably the same.
Ferrari,
So
yeah.
there's been talk about, Schumacher's been trying to push his way into the Ferrari conversation. And it looks like, and I'm a bit worried for sure. He kind of, all his seats seem to be filling up, and his seat's kind of been left out. Be odd to see him be the odd man left out, considering I think he's been come on a lot this season as well.
Has a couple top 10 finishes in the last few weeks before the break.
And then Antonio Giovinazzi is another one that's also probably in talks with all these teams. So it sounds like they're, having a look and doing the due diligence. So we'll see in the coming weeks who ends up where for the final driver list.
That's it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
It's crazy. There's only 20 odd seats in the grid, and there's just so many good drivers out there.
Well, we just watched a Formula 3 race that had 30 cars in it. So, there's plenty of good drivers coming through. There's talent, And there's just like the NFL quarterbacks, there's only 32 spots. There's only 20 in the Formula 1. Other Formula 1 news before we get to the actual race, Audi are set to take over a majority stake of Sauber, which are currently Alpha, 75%-ish, I think is the round. So they'll be the engine manufacturer for that Audi Sauber team in 2026. Sauber and Alpha are ending their deal at the end of next season, so there's like a 2-year gap of I don't know what Sauber's going to do. Get some other title sponsor in maybe for that. And it looks like Porsche and Red Bull are going to announce their deal next GP, which I think is next week as well. There's two big teams coming in here, throwing some shade at Mercedes. Like
more Germans, the Germans. They're coming.
Yeah, they're definitely coming. And it's interesting using that NFL comparison, that's very much of billionaires competing against each other, whereas F1's very much billionaire companies trying to compete against each other. So each of those worth tens of billions of dollars. It's big money coming into F1 and coming to compete.
Yeah, but again, not really solving the driver issue. Like they're coming in buying teams. It's not like they're expanding the grid
They're not
or anything
adding
like
any
that.
teams.
So
Well, Andretti's probably the only one that could potentially add a new team. I think the others are trying to bully them out from that kind of conversation of joining in 2026.
Well, it sounds like Andretti's been having a little bit of dramas in the Indy cars with their drivers as well.
The rumour was McLaren offered Ricciardo the IndyCar seat. So do you want to go there? And he was like, no, I want to do Formula 1. Which is fair, which is very fair. Final news. Looks like there's no French GP next year. They are
starting from next year.
Yeah, they are looking at a street race potentially in Nice. So we'll have to see what that looks like.
Look pretty good. Look nice.
Nice.
That's someone had to say it. That'll be a bit of fun. It seems to be more that push again to away from racetracks and towards street venues and
which is harder on the cars overall, but it's more spectacle, definitely. And now with all the tracks they've added, all the races in America, they kind of got to work out what the calendar looks like going forward.
So wait, no, there's still a race in France. It's just it's not at a race circuit.
So there's no French GP next year.
But Nice is in France.
Yes, but they're looking and they haven't agreed to anything.
Okay.
So currently, there's no further races.
So Nice is going to be in the future plan of
potentially
F1. All right.
Potentially.
Gotcha.
That's where they're looking at. But it's interesting because I think they've got a dedicated race course in France, which is the GP, and now they're looking at a street circuit in Nice. Interesting. Finally, Belgian GP on tonight. Yes. Lots of engine penalties. A lot of teams taking penalties on their engine. Main ones being Leclerc and Max Verstappen, who have now been pushed back into the back of the grid. I think they start 14th, 15th. Max was number one qualifier, but of course with penalties pushes him back. Interesting, Ricardo did out-qualify Norris. He will start 7th. Norris is, I think, 16th. But overall, the qualifying times, he was 10th ahead, which was good to see. Bit of a bounce back from Danny there. It's going to be the Sainz and Perez show to stuff. They are 1 and 2 to kick off. The Mercedes are in there around 5 and 6. But
Mercedes 4th and 5th, with Alonso splitting them.
Yeah,
with Sainz and Perez.
But they were a little worried. They thought they'd come into this qualifying better overall, thinking they've caught up a little bit with Ferrari and Red Bull, but I think they've conceded and said, no, we can't compete with those two teams. They're the top teams. We're going to go look ahead to next year. So it looks like it's the Red Bull versus Ferrari season for the remainder of the year. But anyway, the FP3 race we saw before was sunny. Has been a bit of reports of drizzle for this race. So we'll have to see what happens in another 4 and a bit hours for that actual race when it kicks off, whether it will be raining or not. But otherwise, a big race incoming for the F1. And I think that's it.
How good. F1 is back after the little summer break. We've got footy finals incoming next weekend. We'll also have a top 8 for the NRL when we broadcast. We've got the Big Bash draft starting right now.
Yeah,
we can discuss that, and we'll only be a week away from NFL games and a week away from some pretty big UFC fights. So lots to talk about next week. Thank you to anyone that is joining us through this week, wherever you are. Thank you for your continued listening and support. We will see you next week on the Esky. Hopefully your teams get a win, don't finish 9th, leave you with nothing to cheer about, etc., etc.
That's it.
Thank you, lads.
Thank you.
All.
See you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.